A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett and Myers, first major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. 2 hold-up men have been operating in your city. You've got descriptions of the men and of the car they're driving. Your job, get them. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. No wonder. More and more smokers are learning this fact for themselves. Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality. A published fact, proved by chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Regular or king size, Chesterfield is best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, April 14th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 10:46 a.m. when we got to the corner of Calhoun Street and Van Nuys Boulevard. The Universal Hobby Shop.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
We'd like to see Stanley McGowan, please.
Oh, Stan's not in right now. Anything I can do for you?
When do you expect him?
He shouldn't be long. He just went out for some coffee. Hey, sure there's nothing I can do?
No, sir. You know where he went?
No, I don't. Probably up the street. He'll be right back, though, if you want to wait.
All right, fine.
Pull up a couple of those stools. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
You mind if I go ahead with this? I'd like to get it finished this afternoon.
No, sir. You go right ahead.
Pretty jazzy deals. You seen them?
What's that?
Hey, these boat models. Put them in a bottle.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is a new one. Just came in. Take a look. Jean Lafitte's boat. Pretty, isn't it?
How's that?
Lafitte, the pirate, you know.
Oh, yeah. How do you get it inside the bottle?
Well, the bottle comes in 2 halves. It's cut apart lengthwise. Here you put the boat in and glue the halves together. There are a couple all finished over there. Look pretty good.
Mm-hmm. How long's McGowan been working here?
Oh, I guess it's been about 6 months, round in there. You guys friends of his?
We want to talk to him.
Oh. That's funny about him.
What's that?
Well, he doesn't seem to have any close friends. Hey, you know, like you could call up and ask a favor from. Never hear him talk about anybody like that.
You ever seen any of his associates?
Oh, a couple of times when we get ready to close up, there might be a guy waiting for Stan. Most of the time he plays a single, though. I've tried a couple of times to get him out, you know, stop at the bar on the way home, have a couple of drinks. Stan won't have any part of it, plays it single.
Do you have a car, would you know?
Not that I've ever seen. Hey, say, will you hand me that gold paint over there?
Yeah, sure. This one?
No, the small one there. Yeah, that's right.
Here you are.
Ah, thanks. And a little bit of this goes a long way. Touch up the tops of the mast here, and she'll be ready to rig.
And these friends of his that pick him up, what kind of car do they drive?
What are all these questions for? Who are you guys?
Police officers. This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Cops. Well, what do you want with Stan? He done something?
We just want to talk to him.
I sure hope it isn't anything serious. I'd sure hate to lose Stan.
Is that so?
Yeah, he's one of the best riggers we've ever had. There's a couple of his models over there. Take a look. That one in the case. $150. Old Ironsides. One of the best boats we've turned out. Stan did that. Sure got a steady hand. And that's what it takes when it comes to rigging, steady hand.
Want to go out now, Rudy?
Yeah, in a minute. A couple of fellas here want to talk to you.
You want to see me?
Your name's Stanley McGowan?
Yeah, that's right. What's this about?
They're cops, Stan.
Yeah?
This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
I'd like to talk to you, McGowan. You sure? What about?
Might be better if we went out to the car, huh?
Make no difference to me.
You fellas stay here. I'll go out for some coffee.
All right, thank you.
Bring you back some?
No.
No, thanks.
I won't be long.
Okay.
What are you going to talk to me about?
You seen Jim Boland lately?
No, I haven't.
When did you see him last?
A couple months ago. Why?
Where'd you see him?
He come in here, want to know if I could help him out, give him a job, place to sleep.
Did you?
No, I told him he could bunk at my place for a couple of days till he got squared away. Nothing I could do about a job.
Why'd he come to you?
I don't know. I met him at Q. Didn't have much to do with him. Hey, why'd you guys come to me? What makes you think I might be running with him?
We didn't say you were.
Same thing. You figure I know where he is?
Well, the record says you knew him. We're just checking it out.
I got nothing to do with him. I'm reporting every month. You check with my parole officer. He'll tell you. I've been carrying the bucket since the day I got out of the joint. I'm going to keep on carrying it.
We got no beef with you, McGowan. We just want to get in touch with Boland.
I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do to help you out. Anything comes up, I'll give you a call.
You mention any of his friends in town when you saw him?
Some guy named Phil, that's all.
You know who he is?
No, I never met him. Jim said they were cooking up some kind of deal.
You know what it was?
No. Look, I'd like to feed you guys, but there's nothing I can tell you. As far as I'm concerned, I want to stay away from Jim and the crowd he runs with. I want no part of him. I did my time. Couple more months, I'll finish up with the parole. I don't want to fall again.
Nothing you can tell us about this guy, Phil, huh?
Not a thing.
You know where he met Boland?
Seems like Jim mentioned it. I think it was some bar down on West 7th. It's just a guess, though. I couldn't back it.
You know if Phil drove a car?
Yeah.
You know what kind?
It seems like it was a Lincoln, late model sedan.
How about the color?
It was dark. I saw it once when he came by to pick up Jim. It was nighttime. I couldn't tell too good. It was just a dark color.
Where was this?
My place? I told you Jim bunked with me a couple of days right after he got in town.
He just said you offered to let him stay with you, is that right?
Well, same thing. Anyway, he was only there a couple of days.
Say where he was going?
No, I didn't see him. Him and me had a beef about how he wasn't looking for a job. He used to sit around all day reading magazines. We finally had a fight about it. I told him to get out. Wanted no part of him. I came home that night. He was gone. I haven't seen him since. I don't much want to either.
Mm-hmm.
Look, what are you after him for? What's he done?
Just want to talk to him.
He got a piece of these market jobs around town?
Why do you ask that?
Sounds like Jim, the way he works. I just figured maybe it was him. He checked the board. He violating parole?
They tell us he hasn't shown up for 3 weeks.
That's too bad. Kind of figured maybe he'd swing it this time.
How do you mean?
A couple of times up in the joint, we'd get to talking. He said he finally learned it. Figured out there was no way to beat it. Said if he got his parole, he's going to stick by it. Get a job, carry a bucket. Too bad.
Mm-hmm.
All that talk, I really believed he meant it.
So did the parole board. 6 weeks before, on March 3rd, the manager of a large supermarket had arrived at work. When he opened the front door, he found that a customer had followed him into the building. When the manager told the person that the store wasn't open for business yet, the man had drawn a gun and demanded that the safe be opened. The manager complied, and after taking $1,400 from the safe, the thief had fled. The manager was able to give us a good description of the hold-up man and an accurate description of his car. He was unable to give us the license number, and he could tell us little about the man who remained in the car. Immediate broadcasts were gotten out on the thieves, but they'd apparently made good their escape. On March 12th, the procedure was repeated. Again, we were able to get good descriptions, but we were unable to come up with the suspects. In the following 4 weeks, the thieves hit 5 more times. Each time, the M.O. employed was the same. The descriptions from each of the victims tallied with those that we'd already gotten. The description of the car was the same. This information was turned over to the stats office for compilation. Their findings listed 14 possible suspects. The packages of these men were pulled from R&I, and the mugshots were shown to the victims. In each instance, one picture was picked as bearing a close resemblance to the hold-up man. The prime suspect was identified as James Boland, WMA, 32 years old. He'd been arrested twice for violation of Section 211 of the Penal Code. He'd been convicted once and had been sentenced to San Quentin for a period of from 5 years to life. However, at the prison, his behavior and attitude had been good, and he'd been paroled on February 19th, 10 days before the first holdup. We found that Boland had violated his parole and was wanted by the state adult authority. A check of his friends netted us no new information. His relatives could tell us nothing about his whereabouts. The legwork continued. Informants were questioned, but were of no material aid. Saturday, April 18th, 8:46 p.m. I'd just gotten home from work, and I was unlocking my front door. Hello? Oh, yeah, Dave. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I just got it. When was that? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I'll have to call my partner. Right. Yeah, where? Yeah, I know where that is. Well, let's see. It's 8:47 now. It'll take us about 15, 20 minutes. Right. Okay, we'll see you there. Yeah, sure. Bye. Hello, Faye? Yeah. Frank there yet? What if I could talk to him? Yeah. Oh, Frank? I just got a call from Dave Hyde. Yeah, said he wants to see us right away. Bar down on 6th Street. Yeah. No, all the way downstairs. Okay. What? Yeah. No, he says he knows where we can find Jim Boland. 10 minutes later, Frank picked me up and we drove down to the cocktail lounge that our informant, David Hyde, had picked as a meeting place. When we walked in, we couldn't see Hyde, but the bartender told us that he was in one of the rear booths. We walked back.
Hi, fellas, come on.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
What do you got for us?
Lousy bum, all the things I did for him, all the things, and now he's got a chance to settle up, and he says he's having no part of me.
You talking about Boland?
Boland, what a bum. All I've done for him, this is the way he pays me back. Boy, you just wait till I spread the word around. There won't be anybody in town who'll have anything to do with him. He's through in this town. T-H-R-E-W.
All right, Dave. Settle down and give us the word. Where'd you see him?
Bar over on 7th. Big man now. Got a roll. Looks like a branch of Fort Knox. A lot of money. But he's too good for his old friends. Too good. Say, how about you fellas popping for a drink for a pal, huh? How about it?
You've had enough. Come on. Why'd you see Boland?
Just this morning, big man. Got good clothes, driving a big car. Asked him for a loan. Just to get squared away, pick up a couple of tabs I got around town. Just see me over the hump.
You know what kind of car he's driving?
Yeah, big Lincoln. Brand new. Got red leather trim on the seats. Even got one of those seats that goes up and down, but he can't give a pal a helping hand. I spread this word around town. He's really finished. Ain't a guy in town to touch him with a 12-foot pole or a real darb,
You know where he's living?
Nah, I don't know. Probably got a house out in Bel Air. Looks like he can afford it.
Who's he running with, you know?
Yeah, some guy who's lighting cigarettes.
What's that?
Some guy who lights the cigarettes all the time. Supposed to be some gun from the East. Thinks he's such a big shot. The cheap kind, you know. Kind of guy who has his suits cut so as you can see they're carrying a gun. You know, cheap.
You know this fellow's name?
A couple of times I heard old Jim call him Phil. Phil something, I don't know. A real dark. Hey, fellas, how about a drink? I'm feeling real bad.
You still on H?
Oh, no, I swear to you. I haven't had a pop in a long time. I'm trying to get off the stuff. Figured if I could get drunk enough, it wouldn't be so bad. Rough go. Come on, how about a drink?
You've had enough, Dave. You know if Boland's carrying a gun?
I don't know for sure. I didn't see one. This Darb Phil's got one. Got his coat cut so as you can see it. Real cheap, small time.
You want to show us where you saw Boland?
I'll take you there if I have to carry you on my back. What a way to treat a friend. All the times I've helped him when he's had a bad yan, and now he treats me this way. Real dog in a manger. I got a lot of friends in this town, a lot of buddies. Word gets out about Jim, he's finished. Miserable bum. I think about the rough times him and me had together. I get ill. I-L.
All right, let's go.
If you nail him, you going back to the joint?
Suppose so.
How long are they going to give him?
That's up to the court.
Ain't a court in the world that'll give that bum what he's got coming. All I want to see is that he gets it good. I want to see him turn the key and lose it after what he did to me. I'll tell you something else, too.
Yeah, what's that?
He's building a big habit.
Is he hooked?
He ain't chipping with it. I bet money he's shooting 4 or 5 caps a day. That much easy.
You sure about that?
Well, why'd I lie to you? What reason I got to lie?
All right, Hyde, let's go.
Hey, how about a quick belt before we go, huh? I'm feeling rocky. Just a quick one.
Let's pick up Boland first, then we'll see what we can do for you.
Yeah, then you'll take care of it, huh?
We'll see.
Yeah, just so he gets his every pound. Can't wait to see the look on his face when he finds out the whistle's been blown. Oh, I can't wait.
Neither can we. Let's go. 9:13 p.m. Hyde, Frank, and I drove over to West 7th Street. Our informant pointed out the bar where he'd seen the suspect, Boland. He told us that when he'd seen him last, Boland said that he'd be in the bar that night. We called the office and told them where we were, and then we went into the place. Boland wasn't there, but the bartender said that he was expected. The three of us sat down in a booth at the rear of the place, and we ordered black coffee for our informant. We waited. 9:30 p.m. 10:30.
There he is, coming in now.
When you saw him this morning, did he say this guy Phil was going to be here?
No, not to me.
How about it, Joe?
You better get out of here, Dave. Use the side door, will you?
Yeah.
We'll check with you later. All right, let's go. Boland?
What?
You Jim Boland?
What do you want?
Police officers, you're under arrest. All right, Boland, come on, get up. Come on your feet. Stand still.
He's clean, Joe.
What's going on? What are you pulling a deal like this for? I didn't cause any trouble.
All right, come on, let's go.
Somebody blew the whistle on me. Somebody did. I'm going to find out, and I'm going to get to him. I swear I'll get to him.
Where's Phil?
Huh?
Phil, where is he?
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, Boland, let's go.
Listen, you tell whoever it was blew the whistle they better start looking for a place to hide, because I'm going to get to him if it's the last thing I do.
You called it.
What?
It might be. 10:14 p.m. We returned the suspect to the city hall and questioned him. He refused to admit any complicity in the holdups. He refused to tell us who Phil was. We talked to him for 5.5 hours, and we got nothing. At 3:30 a.m., he was taken over to the main jail and booked in on suspicion of robbery. We checked out the room that he told us he was living in, but we were unable to come up with anything that would tie him in with the holdups. 3 days passed. On Tuesday, April 21st at 8:30 p.m., a special show-up was arranged. Out of the 7 victims who were present, 5 said that the suspect looked very much like the man who had held them up, but none of them would give us a positive identification. Jim Boland was returned to the felony cell block, and we talked to the victims. All of them commented on the fact the suspect we had in custody was the same height, the same weight, and had the same general coloring and appearance as the person who'd robbed them. However, none of them would swear positively that he was the person. At 10:15 p.m., Frank and I went up to the felony section and had Boland brought from his cell to the interview room. His previous sullen attitude had changed considerably.
How'd I make out? You got any identification?
5 of them say you look like the man.
They're wrong. They gotta be. I didn't have nothing to do with those holdups. If they say I'm the guy, then they're making a bad mistake.
They seem pretty sure about what they say.
They can't be. Look, they saw me behind the screen. You bring them up here. Let me talk to them face to face. I'll talk to them. I got nothing to hide. Just let me talk to them.
You know we can't do that.
I always thought it was up to you to prove a guy was innocent as well as trying to make him for a job.
That's right, it is.
Then why don't you give me a break? I got no part in these heists.
You look good for him.
Probably a lot of other guys who do, too, but that don't mean they are. Come on, what do I have to do to make you believe?
Why don't you come off of this, Boland? We got you going in. Why not play it smart and cop out?
How can I cop out when I got no part in it?
I'll lay it out for you. The M.O. used in the jobs matches yours.
Big deal. A lot of guys work the way I used to.
Physical description we got matches you.
So I haven't got 2 heads. A lot of guys look like me.
The beef in the bar. If you didn't have anything to worry about, why'd you start the fight?
How'd I know who you guys were? Maybe you was out to pull a heist.
Oh, that's a nice try, Boland, but it won't work. You knew we were officers. Now, why don't you save us a lot of time and tell us the truth here?
You guys wouldn't know it if it bit you.
There's one way to find out.
Yeah?
Try it.
You got a cigarette?
Here.
You want one?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll level with you. I figured you was after me for PV. I didn't have any idea about the 211 rack.
Is that why you started the fight?
I swear it is.
How about the money you got? Where'd it come from?
I got real lucky with a pair of dice.
You expect us to believe that?
That's the way things are.
Where'd you hit the luck?
I can't tell you that. It wouldn't help any.
Give you an alibi.
Either you believe it or you don't. That's the way it was. I'm trying to level with you.
We got a rumble that you're back on H now. How about that?
Where'd you hear that?
We heard it.
Yeah. Well, you tell them I haven't had a pop in over 4 years. Not since I went up the joint.
How about this Lincoln you're driving?
Don't belong to me.
Who owns it?
Phil?
Now we're back to that. You're going to tell us who Phil is?
Listen, the guy's a friend of mine. I don't want to bring nothing down on him.
He's leaving you way out in the cold.
I suppose so. Well, if I tell you, you won't know, will he?
Not from us.
Okay. Name's Phil Spence.
How well do you know him?
Say hello to, buy him a drink, that's all.
That's not the way we get it.
I don't care how you get it. That's the way it is.
Spence, you ever fallen?
I hear yes.
What for?
211, ADW.
Where?
Here, California.
You on parole?
No, he got out clean. At least that's the way I hear it.
You know where we can pick him up?
I told you I buy him a beer once in a while. I don't pay his rent.
You're the one who said you wanted to go down the middle.
All right, but I'm giving it to you that way. I don't know where his pad is.
Does he work for a living?
I don't know. I never heard him talk about a job.
You know who he runs with?
Some guy named Ed.
You ever see him?
No.
Know where he can be reached?
Sometimes they hang around the bar where you picked me up. How about it, fellas? You gonna buy the story?
Yeah, we'll check it out.
I swear it. I got no part in it. Sure, you got me cold for PV. I know I got to go back for that, but I want nothing to do with the rest.
We'll check it out.
You do that. You'll find out what I said's the truth.
You willing to identify these 2 other guys for us?
How do you mean?
Check over some mugs?
Sure. Just as long as you believe me.
We'll see.
You won't regret it. A lot of things I can tell you if you get me out of this. A lot of information I can give you.
Let's go.
You're going to give me a break, huh?
We'll check it.
Say, either one of you guys got some extra butts? I'm out.
Yeah. Here, take these.
Thanks.
Anything else you need?
Not unless you can fix it for me to shave.
We'll talk to the jailer about it.
Beard's starting to itch. I'd like to get it off.
We'll see what we can do.
You going to start checking my story now?
That's right.
You go to work on it. You'll find out.
Yeah, sure.
I'll pay you back. Just believe me. I'll pay you back.
Figure he's telling the truth?
It's hard to say.
The identifications weren't too sure.
Everything else is. There's only one way.
Yeah.
Check him out.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. At cigarette dealers, in vending machines, at supermarkets and stores coast to coast.
Chesterfield, please.
Smokers by the thousands. Yes, smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. The only cigarette ever to give you
One, proof of low nicotine, highest quality. Chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading brands confirm that.
2, the only cigarette ever to give you this proven record with smokers. Again and again, over a full year and one half, a group of Chesterfield smokers have been given thorough medical examinations. The doctor's reports are a matter of record.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
A responsible independent research laboratory supervises this continuing program. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Chesterfield, best for you.
Tuesday, April 21st. After we left the suspect, Jim Boland, at the main jail, Frank and I went back to the city hall and checked the name Phil Spence through R&I. There were 9 packages carrying records for men with that name. 2 of them had served terms for robbery in the state penitentiary at Folsom, California. We got off communications to George Brereton up at Sacramento and to Washington, requesting information on known criminals having that name. 12:30 a.m. We went back to the jail and had Boland brought from his cell. We showed him the mug shots from the packages we had, but he failed to give us an identification. We talked to him about Phil Spence. He gave us all of the information he could about the missing suspect's habits. At this point, we were still not sure that Boland wasn't implicated in the holdups, but we had to check out what facts we had. The one point which seemed to verify Boland's story was that the victims were unable to give a positive identification of him. 1:30 a.m., we went back to the office and checked out for the night. The following morning, Wednesday, April 22nd, we started to recheck Boland's story of his movements during the times of the holdups. Upon re-questioning some of the witnesses, we found that they weren't as sure as they had been of the facts. That afternoon, we got a kickback from Sacramento. It contained 3 more possibles. CII said that they were sending us mugshots of the men by airmail special delivery. Boland gave us a list of places Spence was known to frequent. We came up with the name of a girl that the suspect was known to see from time to time. We got the address and we went out to talk to her.
Doesn't look like she's home.
We better check with the manager, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You Jane Schofield?
Why?
We'd like to see her.
Who are you?
Police officers.
Come in. I'm her. What do you want?
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
No, I figured that. Move some of those clothes and sit down. Can I get you anything? Drink, maybe?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. What do you want to talk about?
How long has it been since you've seen Phil Spence?
Who says I know him?
We understand you know him pretty well.
I've gone out with him a couple of times. That's the end of it.
When'd you see him last?
A couple of days ago. Monday night, I think.
You know where he is now?
No.
You know where he lives?
Some hotel over on Flower.
You know the name of the place?
No.
You ever been there?
No.
You know what Spence does for a living?
I don't know. Got some kind of a job, I guess.
He ever talk to you about what he does?
I told you I'd just been out with him a couple of times. I didn't ask for his birth certificate. I just said I'd go out with him. What are all these questions about anyway? What do you want to talk to Phil about?
It's a personal matter.
What kind of trouble is he in now?
You been in trouble before?
I don't know. Just with you cops around, must be something he's done.
Spence got any close friends that you know of?
Couple.
You know who they are?
One of them is a guy named Jim something.
How about the rest?
Fellow he calls Ed.
What do you know about Ed?
Not much. Is he in it too?
Ma'am?
He mixed up in this personal thing you want to talk to Phil about?
Maybe.
Never did like him. I always figured he'd end up getting Phil in trouble.
Phil see quite a bit of him?
Yeah. I think he's maybe in some kind of business deal with Ed.
You ever say what the deal was?
Not to me. One night a couple of weeks ago, he got real looped, and him and Phil were talking about it.
What'd they say?
I don't know. Phil told me to go powder my nose. I don't know what they said.
And how do you know what they talked about?
Because when I came back, I heard Phil say something about how the deal was going to work out all right. Then he saw me, and they shut up.
Phil owns a car, doesn't he?
Yeah, a new Lincoln.
You ever let anybody else drive it?
Ooh, once in a while, he lets Jim take it. Not often. Phil's kind of touchy about the car. Say, how'd you fellas know about me?
Routine. Check and fill out. Your name came up.
Oh, that's all, huh?
Ma'am?
I'm not mixed up in it.
You can answer that better than we can.
Yeah. Well, I want you to know that I'm not. I got nothing to do with Phil.
Mm-hmm.
I mean it. I just met the guy. I had a couple of dates with him. He's hung up in something. I got nothing to do with it. You got to believe that.
When are you going to see Spence again?
You believe what I tell you, don't you? If he's in trouble, I got no part of it.
When are you going to see him again, lady?
You mean whenever I got a date?
Yes, ma'am.
Tomorrow night. He's going to pick me up when I get through work.
Where's that?
Bar down in Olympic. I'm a hostess there.
Is that where you met him?
Yeah, he came in one night. We got to talk. He asked me for a date. I don't want you to get the wrong idea about it, though.
Ma'am?
Well, about how I met him. I don't usually go out with the customers. Boss doesn't like it. It's just that Phil seemed kind of different. That's the reason I went out with him. I want you to get that straight.
Mm-hmm.
Just a minute.
Expecting anybody?
No, I don't know who it is. Want me to open it?
Yeah, go ahead.
What took you so long, honey?
I got company, Phil.
I know.
I don't think so.
Hi.
You Phil Spence?
Yeah, who are you?
Police officers would like to talk to you.
What about?
Might be better if we went downtown.
Or who?
What?
I don't want to go downtown.
You don't have much to say about it, mister.
Is it a pinch?
If it makes you happy, mark it down that way. You want to shake him, Frank?
Yeah. Yeah, well, cop.
What are you doing, breaking up my phone? Get out of here! Get out of here and take that cheap phone with you!
All right, come on, get out. Come on, get out.
You get out of here.
Lousy deal.
Get out of here, my deal coming in and breaking up a girl's apartment. Who's going to pay for all this? Who's going to make it right? Just look at the place.
Oh, shut up. Why don't you tell me they were here? Why didn't you say something?
All right, Spence, let's go.
I'm coming. All I want to know is who told you. Who yapped? That lousy Eddie, I'll bet. He's the one. Never should have picked him up.
He with you on the jobs?
He told you, didn't he?
How about Jim Boland? He in with you, too?
Oh, that guy hasn't got enough sense to come in out of the rain. He's worse than Ed. Should know not to get mixed up with that dumb Eddie. I should know. Always happens.
Yeah?
You're on with a jerk, you're going to get tripped up. Lousy Eddie shooting off his mouth. Hadn't been for him, you'd never got us. I'm going to tell him off.
What's the difference? You told them everything they wanted to know. You're all going to jail.
Why don't you shut up? You're always wrong, sister.
Not this time. Let's go.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 13th, trial was held in Department 92 of Superior Court of the State of California in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Well, this is brief, but I think very much to the point. Chesterfield is the only cigarette that gives you proof of low nicotine, highest quality. That's what I want in my cigarette, and that's what you should look for in yours. Chesterfield, regular or king size, best for you. Try 'em.
Philip Donald Spence and Edwin Floyd Morse were tried and convicted on 4 counts of robbery in the first degree and were sentenced as prescribed by law. Robbery in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 5 years. Jim Nathan Boland was released to the state adult authority for action on violation of his parole. He was returned to San Quentin for the balance of his original term. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Herb Vigran, Vic Perrin, Michael Ann Barrett. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Have you tried new cork tip Fatima? It's the smooth smoke, with Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Fatima is made and guaranteed by Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company. Try Fatima today. Here,
Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
My name's Jeff Regan. I get 10 a day in expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Lyon. Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
With Jack Webb as Jeff Regan, Investigator, stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of The House by the Sea.
This is the way it started. I walked in the office about 11 o'clock that morning. It was a nice, warm day, and I didn't have much on my mind. That's the trouble with nice days. You take a couple of easy breaths, open somebody's door, and it's just like peeling a wrapper off an atomic bomb. The Lion was in his den, sitting behind his desk. You couldn't tell where he left off and the desk began. He was talking to a girl with a flock of black hair. She was the kind you see driving a Cadillac convertible down Sunset Boulevard on hot Sunday afternoons. No wonder the Lion's cigar was out. It was wet on both ends.
Well, come in, Regan, come in. I was just about to call you, but now that you're here, it makes things simpler. Miss Carmen, this is Mr. Regan.
How do you do, Mr. Regan? Mr. Lyon tells me you're just the man I want.
You said the same thing to a mortician last week.
He is the man I want, Mr. Lyon.
Well, that's fine, Miss Carmen. I knew you'd be pleased. I'm very proud of Jeffrey.
As long as I'm in the cast, how about a look at the script, huh?
Miss Carmen is associated with the famous psychic consultant, Prince Carew.
I help the prince look into people's minds.
Well, that ought to be real fun if all your customers are under 6.
You don't believe in thought transference, Mr. Regan.
Do you?
I said I help the prince.
Prince Carew sent Miss Carmen to retain an operator, Jeffrey. It's a very delicate matter, and I'm placing the entire case in your hands.
Why didn't he come himself?
Do you disapprove of me?
I just want to know what's what.
Well, Prince Carew never appears in public. He prefers to spend his time in meditation and thought.
Yeah.
I handle all of his outside contacts.
So, Jeffrey, you just drive on out to Prince Carew's home in Oceantown with Miss Carmen and speak to the prince.
What kind of a retainer did he send? How much did you get?
Now, see here, Regan, we don't discuss finances in front of clients.
Oh, stop it, will you? This is another blind spot. You don't know what it's all about. All you know is she waltzed in here with a check, and you'd sell your grandmother a glue factory for $2. How do I know I won't wind up being a patsy again?
Is there any way I can reassure you?
Buy me a battleship.
Jeffrey, have I ever involved you in anything that I wouldn't undertake myself? Have I ever knowingly imperiled your life?
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
Come on, lady. What's it all about? You work for the guy.
Well, I really don't know. He was excited this morning, called me in, gave me this address, and told me to make arrangements.
He must have told you something.
He never tells me anything. As you say, I just work for him. Well?
All right, I'm hired.
Good. Now call me, Jeffrey. Call me if you run into any trouble.
Well, I asked her how about lunch. She said no. I asked her about dinner. She said something that meant no, so I gave up. You know, it's like that sometimes. The flag's up, the meter's ticking, and you're not getting anywhere. But from a couple of things she told me, I got the idea she was doing more than just helping the prince read minds. Well, his place turned out to be a good hour from downtown Los Angeles, up 101. There was a couple of stories of glass and concrete leaning out over the ocean. It was high and dry and quiet up there. And you got a feeling you should be hearing things and feeling things when you looked down and saw that water banging around the bottom of the cliff. She unlocked the door, and a guy in a white turban and some pants that looked like oversized diapers and a pair of tennis shoes was standing there. He had a big curved knife hanging around his waist, and he put his hand on it when he saw me.
Right this way, Mr. Regan.
Who's he, the butcher?
Oh, that's Telly. He works for the prince. Manservant. He's from India.
Yeah, I'll bet the Indians are glad to get rid of him.
Telly's harmless, tongueless, and he doesn't hear. I like you, Mr. Regan.
Come in. Feldman, my dear, you've returned with spoils. Welcome, sir, welcome.
Mr. Regan, this is Prince Peru.
Regan, the Lion's Eye. I've heard of you, Mr. Regan. I'm honored. Sit down. That'll be all then, now. Charming girl, hmm?
She handle all your outside contacts?
Most efficiently. Except, of course, for matters that I must handle personally.
What kind of matters?
I'm in trouble, Mr. Regan, and I beg your assistance.
Well, it's all paid for.
Correct. But there's a personal bonus in this for you.
Why?
Because, sir, I want you to save my life.
You look healthy to me.
I am healthy, let me assure you. But my life has been threatened.
Well, that'd come under police business, wouldn't it?
Normally. Didn't Miss Carmen explain that this was a delicate matter?
Yeah, she did. Why didn't you call the police?
I'm hardly in a position to ask the police for assistance, Mr. Regan. It is a delicate matter.
Outside it says you're a mind reader, all right? What am I thinking now?
That I'm a charlatan, a faker, and that I'm trying to hide something from you.
That gets you the cigar.
It's been a very lucrative arrangement for the most part and very satisfactory. Except, of course, for the annoyance of having my life threatened.
Who's the guy?
It would be of no consequence if it were a man. It's a lady, Mr. Regan. A very beautiful and lovely creature. And she'd like nothing better than to see my carcass go out with the tide.
Why does she want to kill you?
A matter of confidence. Suffice it to say that she is thoroughly capable of doing just that.
How do you know?
One, she is erratic, ill-tempered, ruthless. Two, she called me this morning and told me what she intended to do.
She giving you a chance to reach for your gun?
To reach for you, Mr. Regan.
What do you want me to do?
I feel the entire matter could be settled amicably if you were to call on her. Inform her that you are my personal bodyguard and that you are here to protect my life.
You think she'd go for that?
I'm positive.
How long you been blackmailing her?
What?
Well, your racket might last 6 months or a year, but not long enough to pay for a place like this. The answer's blackmail, isn't it?
Okay. I should have told you.
How do you do it?
I can slip them into a trance. They spell a family secret into. I push a buck that way.
That's nice.
If they want their minds read, I read them. $25 a parade.
And shakedown.
The guy's got to eat.
You put the squeeze on her.
She's an actress. She was in on a deal at the studios.
She wouldn't shake?
At first, I just told her I had to have a larger fee. Then they come out with it, cold turkey.
And she said she'd blow your head off.
Yeah, she's the kind. I went wrong on this one. I'm in a spot.
Who is she?
Grace Nichols, movie actress. Ever heard of her?
Redhead.
Makes you want to go home and kick your wife downstairs if you got one.
That good?
Better. But she means this business about pumping me. And I won't look good dead.
All right, where's she live?
Over in the Palisades. Here's her address. You going over there now?
Yeah.
Be careful.
She isn't gunning for me.
That isn't what I mean. There's a skinny boy there. He's nasty, no callers. Name of Tim Rogers.
I'll remember that.
I hope you can talk her out of it. I've been sweating. I don't want to shake her down. I just want to get a little sleep at night.
I left him sitting there, scratching his bald head under his turban. He looked about as happy as a guy who just ate a Vaseline sandwich. Well, Grace's place was too big for a marble game and too small for football. I think I remember reading something about how she got it from her third husband. There was a big wire fence all around it and a sign every 15 or 20 feet telling you not to trespass. So I parked my car outside the driveway and walked up to the front door. A guy in a chauffeur's uniform was standing there. He looked like a razor blade with arms. He gave me the fisheye and blew smoke in my face and kind of nudged me with his shoulder.
Move on, Pilgrim. No handouts here.
I came to see Grace Nichols.
Yeah.
I got business with her.
Yeah.
So tell her I'm here.
Blow.
You always like this, or did you miss lunch today?
I don't know who you are, Pilgrim, but I don't like you. Beat it.
I know you. There's something about a guy in a lineup.
Yeah?
He memorizes real easy.
Copper.
Investigator.
Private or city, I don't care. You all smell the same.
This isn't hunting season. You always carry a .38?
Does it show?
Maybe you got a broken rib.
A real funny guy. I met all kinds of funny guys. Drift.
I said I wanted to see her.
And I said she wasn't in.
All right, I'll tell you once more. I got business with her.
So do a couple of hundred other guys.
Watchdog?
Now you're getting smart.
You weren't.
What kind of a crack is that?
I want to see her, I'm going to see her.
Trick I learned a long time ago. Shoot a guy in the knee and he'll never walk straight again.
You ever done it?
Oh, yeah. That's how I learned.
That's one I learned, baby.
Well, I might have to get a new chauffeur. You looking for a job?
I already got one, lady.
Timmy's going to be awfully upset when he finds out what happened to him. When someone works for me, they have to be perfect. Want his job?
They wouldn't let me in.
I'll let you in. You, do that kind of thing often?
When I have to.
I suppose you have a name.
It's Regan. I'm a private investigator.
All right, Mr. Regan, you've earned a perfectly good chauffeur and bodyguard, and you're in my house. What have we got to talk about?
A guy named Carew.
The prince? Must we talk about him?
He thinks you're dangerous stuff.
So do a lot of people. Tell me, Mr. Regan, what do you think?
About what?
Me.
Right now or when I'm a couple of feet away?
Right now.
Look, remember, I just got here.
I know. He must have a first name. What is it?
Jeff.
Oh, Jeff, we'll get along. It's in the cards.
Pretty fast deal.
I like it this way. Fast.
Might be a bum deck.
Never mind. Deal.
That's the bell. How much time between rounds?
Well, you know me better. Hello? Yes? Yes, right here. You know a man named Lion, Jeff?
Uh-huh.
He seems to be roaring.
Give it to me. Yeah.
Regan, is that you?
Well, now, how do you figure it?
Now, don't be smart. Who's the dame who answered the phone?
Our client's friend.
Sounds like she's a friend of yours now, or maybe you have been doing some road work.
Did you have something to say, or is this the day you turned scoutmaster? I'm busy.
Well, you can stop being busy, lover. It's all off.
Don't tell me you're passing up a fee.
I'm passing up nothing. Prince Carroll called me 10 minutes ago and told me to forget the whole thing, and that's what I'm telling you.
How'd you know I was here?
The prince told me, so it's all over. Finished. Forget it.
I've already started something.
I don't care what you started. Now, just remember, you finish it on your own time and expense sheet.
You look worried, Jeff. Anything I can do?
I'm called off.
You mean you're out of a job? I got one. Remember, you put my bodyguard out of commission. You owe me something.
Oh, Tim, boy, he'll come around.
I don't want Tim anymore. I want you. I'll get you a drink. We can talk about it.
Carew told me that Tim was a pretty good boy.
You can fill his shoes. Come here and get your drink. Now, tell me about 9 o'clock tonight.
It'll get dark.
I got a new dress. I think you'll like it.
I probably would.
The place above Malibu, we could have dinner and listen to some music. I want to be with you, Jeff.
That deal's fast again.
I don't care. I don't care. I just decided something, Jeff. I'm going to like being with you. I'm going to like it a lot.
Well, she didn't want me to go. But I was thinking about the prince and the way everything looked. I told her I'd see her that night. I was just climbing into my car when Tim Rogers, her ex-number 1 boy, stepped out from the gate. I waited for him to walk over.
Pretty good with your women, Regan.
You look lonely, Timmy. Somebody stole your popsicle?
Bum joke, Regan. I've been waiting to talk to you. You were so quiet in the house I didn't want to make any noise.
Any better here?
You came out champ this afternoon. But you won't even make the prelims next time.
You got something to say?
Stay away from her.
You're shaking. You need a drink.
Stay away from her, Regan. I've been with her too long. Known her too long to take the bounce from a two-bit gum heel.
Goodbye.
I'm not finished yet.
That's your version. Now get your foot off that running board, punk, or I'll take it with me. I left him standing in the middle of the driveway. If I'd have waited another minute, he'd have been crying. I stopped off and had some barbecued ribs at a drive-in out on Sunset. It was just getting dark when I got to my place. I had company. It was Velma Carmen, Prince Carew's right-hand man. She was sitting on the edge of my sofa. Her back was as stiff as a filing cabinet, and there was a little ring of white around her lip. She looked like she'd just been measured for a coffin. There was a .25 automatic sitting in her lap.
I've been waiting for you, Mr. Regan. I asked the janitor to let me in.
Yeah?
He was very nice about it. I told him I was associated with one of your clients. Yes, I told him I was associated with one of your clients. Did you know that Prince Carew was my husband?
Since when?
Oh, a long time now, a long time. Not many people know that.
Is that what you came here to tell me?
No. I came to tell you that you don't have to worry anymore. None of us have to worry anymore.
You mean you're calling me off the case?
That's it. That's exactly it. I'm calling you off the case.
Yeah. Well, I've already been called off. My office phoned me when I was over at her house.
Fresh nickels?
Yeah.
And it was about her?
Yeah.
Well, then, we don't have to worry anymore, do we?
No.
She's very pretty, isn't she? I've seen her many times. I think she's quite pretty. I could hardly blame the prince. I could hardly blame him at all.
What are you getting at?
Because all the others were pretty, too.
Where'd you get that gun?
This. I bought it for $30.
Let me see it, huh?
Oh, yes. I brought it here so I could show it to you. I paid $30 for it. I paid $30. I'd imagine the air would be cleaner in there, don't you?
What are you talking about?
I mean, it's really very humane, they tell me. It's just like sitting down and never waking up. I read all about it. You just walk in and sit down, and if you don't try to hold your breath, you go to sleep, don't you? You've met murderers before, Mr. Regan. Do I make a good murderer? Do I make a good murderer?
Stop it, will you? You trying to tell me you killed him?
Oh, Miss Regan, that's why I came here. I shot him. I walked up behind him and I put the gun close to his back and pulled the trigger. They don't make such a great deal of noise, do they? I left him sitting there in his house by the sea, and he looks very much alive. Only he isn't alive at all. Now answer me. Now answer me. Do I make a good murderer? Do I make a...
You are listening to the story of The House by the Sea, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. They're still available for qualified nurses. Yes, the Army Nurse Corps Reserve still has commissions available. If you are a graduate registered nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, you may be eligible for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps section of the Regular Officers Reserve. To find out if you do qualify for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve, apply to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now, back to the story of The House by the Sea and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Well, after she got through, she settled down to a slow, even kind of a giggle that started somewhere around her shoelaces and didn't get past her knees. It was one of those things that gives you a feeling like somebody's standing in back of you with a red-hot iron ready to press your pants before you get them off. But she wasn't going to do any more talking, so I went downstairs and brought back a doctor friend of mine named Sammy Wing. He brought his little black bag with him and gave her a shot of something. She wilted like last night's orchid and went to sleep on my couch. Sammy began talking.
Some playmate. Wish I'd have been here for the party. I had 4 appendectomies and 1 broken leg today. So dull life.
How is she?
You know her better than me.
No, she's going to be all right.
But she'll wake up in 5 or 6 hours. I want some water.
And then what?
She might ask you what happened, or it might start all over again, whatever it was. By the way, what was it?
Well, I found her here when I got home.
I should find something like this.
She said she killed an ex-client of mine.
Oh, maybe I'm lucky at that. What does all the past tense mean?
I was called off the case.
Oh, nice. It's all clean. No clients to protect. Is there a court someplace?
I don't know, Sammy.
Call the police. They find out. And then you and me can go out and get a drink.
She said she used this gun. Smell it, Sammy. It hasn't been fired. Safety catch is still on.
She's pretty and she's nice, and I'll bet she looks like $1 million in a bathing suit. But if I'd have met her within the last 3 hours, I'd have run for help. Call the police.
Is that professional?
This is acute hysteria. The kind that pops off guns and pops off people, and there's a lot of things they can't remember later on. Call the police.
What about the gun?
Other gun. Call the coroner while you're at it. Tell him to go out there with some DOA forms. He'll use them.
Will you stay here with her till I get back?
Corpse hunt?
Just an idea.
Hitler had an idea.
The odds were against him.
You got about as much chance as a 3-legged horse in the Kentucky Derby. She's bit somebody, and she's told you about it.
I want to make sure.
What do they do when a private eye walks in and messes up a nice, clean murder?
Sammy, will you stay?
Had any bourbon around here?
Yeah.
Okay, take your time. Maybe both of us will get our pictures in the paper.
I left him with a kind of a soft smile on his face, like he had some inside information on Tuesday's winner at Del Mar. Well, it was 9:30 by the time I got there, and it was dark enough to give a ghost the creeps. It was different, too. Maybe it was the fog. I used that ring of keys I'd taken from her purse. It smelled dry and funny inside, and it was real quiet, like somebody was waiting for the world to fall apart. I clicked on my flashlight, and I walked down the long hall to his office. He was there, just like she said. There were 3 holes in the front of his shirt, but it wasn't the laundry's fault. I spotted the .38 on the floor by his hand. I broke it, and 3 cartridges came out. It was the right gun for the job. It was pretty messed up. While I was standing there trying to figure Velma Carmen's story, the lights came on. A fat man wearing a sheriff's star was standing by the switch. There was a taller man in a brown overcoat next to him. They both looked like they'd just finished dinner.
Scavenger hunt, son? You don't talk, Charlie.
Ain't much for him to say, is there, Cap?
Guess not. Well, son?
Oh, it looks like you're going to be calling me names.
What do you like best? Killer, murderer, or slayer? The papers use slayer a lot.
I don't like any of them.
Kind of breezy for a hot boy, ain't you? Mind giving me a name?
It's Regan. I'm a private detective.
It's Regan. He's a private detective, Cap.
Yeah. Got a card or something with you, son?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's right. With International. Lion still there?
Yeah.
Who's that?
An old bum I used to know. Regan, why do you go around killing people? The Lion will be mad.
Look, this is a fix.
Now, why do you want to say a thing like that?
Somebody tip you?
Phone call a little while ago.
Huh?
Funny kind of a voice, a whisper. Said we'd find a stiff up here, but didn't say we'd find you.
You're extra.
Look, I just came here to see what it was all about.
Same thing we did. Only we come up with a suspect and a corpse. No cop could ask for anything better. Charlie, better call a coroner. Ocean Town's just a small place, Regan. Only me and Charlie around. We borrow from the county when we get something like this.
I can find you a real answer in an hour.
You let me and Charlie worry about that. You look good enough for the time being. All right, son. Let's go.
I had as much chance as an elephant in a tea room, and if those two locked me up and booked me. So I leaned back into his gun and spun around and knocked his wrist down. He pulled the trigger. By that time, I flicked the light switch and was out the door. I didn't run for my car. I cut across the driveway and doubled back up the hill. I could hear him yelling and shooting out in the dark. I hailed a cab about 5 blocks away, and he took me to the place above Malibu. I found her in a booth with a piano player. She was wearing one of those black strapless things, and it was worrying a couple of bald-headed guys sitting at the bar.
You're late, Jeff. We said 9 o'clock. I had 3 drinks all alone. You want me to get mad, or are you going to catch up?
How long you been here?
You sound like you're out of the mood. I thought we were going to look at the stars together.
How long you been here?
It's 9 o'clock. What's the matter?
I've been working tonight.
Well, it's after hours now. Tell me how you like my new dress.
It's the right color with the wrong cut for a funeral.
I haven't read the obituaries today.
It'll be in tomorrow's paper, only it'll make the front page.
Have a drink? Let's wait for tomorrow.
Your friend was killed tonight.
What friend?
Carew.
He was no friend of mine. I told you that.
So did he.
Car smash up, or did he fall off his house?
38.
We didn't talk about him this afternoon. Let's not start now.
Look, 2 cops in Ocean Town are kind of crowding me. They think I'm going to take a good picture.
Is that why you're late?
It's a murder rap, lady.
We should have had dinner together.
They'll be knocking down your door in the morning.
Why, darling?
Because you threatened to kill him, because he hired me to call you off.
Oh, wait a moment, Jeff. You've been having fun up to now. Who told you that?
Why do you think he sent me over today to sell magazines?
I never found out you were called off. I suppose he hired you to scare me. Jeff, we're old friends now. I can tell you a family secret.
I know about him blackmailing you. And that puts you ahead of me for the cops. Did you do it?
I don't know. Did you? What he told you don't sound right.
What does sound right?
I went to him one day and put him in a trance, only I used scotch. Found out what he was doing and how I was doing it, so I turned the tables. It was good, clean fun, but expensive for him.
You've been draining him?
I thought that's why you came today. That's why I had Tinny around.
Well, some of this is beginning to make change. If he was your meal ticket, then you got an alibi.
I don't feel like stars anymore, Jeff. Let's go over to my place and talk.
On the way over, she didn't have much to say, and I couldn't think of anything. I was all too mixed up. If she'd really been shaking him down, then she figured out. And the girl back in my apartment figured in. Only she had the wrong gun. And then there was a little business that I'd have to explain with the Ocean Town cops. Well, When we turned in the driveway, I stopped figuring. Tim Rogers, the man with the guns, was there, standing on the porch.
Oh, gorgeous. I've been waiting to see you. You're home late.
I thought I fired you.
Still tramping with this tramp, huh? I thought you'd be sick of him by now.
For once, I'm glad to see you, Tim boy.
That sounds cozy, but I don't want to see you.
I know where your 38 is.
You're wrong. It's her 38. And it's got her prints on it.
Jeff, he's making it look bad for me.
Ask him what he's doing here, will you?
Just in for a showdown, Angel. You're tagged for his murder. They'll want you. I fixed it good. I can fix it so you can get away.
How?
A friend of mine shutting off at Pedro. 4 o'clock. To go all over the world.
Jeff, if all of this is straight, I'm in a spot.
Relax. This guy never did anything right.
Tell me how I'm wrong.
All right, that tip to the Ocean Town cops was wrong. Trying to pile up a scare on me was wrong. Killing Cairo was wrong, and this clinches it.
Yeah? Well, that's where you're twisted, Pilgrim. I got a warrant out for you right now. Plugging a murder suspect is something they'll thank me for.
You said her prints were on that gun?
They'll find that out in the morning. And how was I to know? Just happened to hear on the radio they were looking for you tonight. I see you, I plug you. Everybody will be sorry, but it'll be manslaughter and suspended. I worked it once in Toledo. What do you say, Angel? Do I plug him and meet you somewhere in 2 weeks?
Let me have a smoke. Let me think it over.
Sure. Sure, go ahead. Angel.
Well, the gun's empty now.
I carried this for 3 years. I never used it. He deserved to die, didn't he? Didn't he, Regan, didn't he?
I don't know, lady. You knew him better. Well, it unwound like red thread in the Levi factory. Grace Nichols had been putting the shake on the prints. He got tired of it and called me in and told me his phony story so he'd have a good self-defense angle when he finally got around to shooting her some afternoon. He had Tim planted there to keep me from really seeing her. Oh, it was a nice idea, only I bounced Tim and got inside. And then Tim made a phone call and the lion jerked me before I had a chance to compare notes with her. I guess Tim went kind of crazy seeing how well we got along together, and he figured Grace would do anything if she was wanted for murder. So he killed the prince and made her the patsy with those fingerprints. She'd handled the gun before, see. But then I had my caller, Velma Carmen, the prince's wife. She went kind of crazy, too, when she walked in and found him dead. It took 3 doctors a couple of weeks to tell her what really happened. When I told it all to the lion, he was mad at first, but then he saw Grace Nichols' picture in the paper. He asked just one question. What was I doing at Grace's place all afternoon? I didn't even bother to answer him.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan with Wilms Herbert as Anthony J. Lyon. It's CBS same time next week for hard-boiled action and mystery with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Written by E. Jack Newman, produced by Sterling Tracy. The role of Grace Nichols was played by Betty Lou Gerson, David Ellis was Tim Rogers, Lorene Tuttle was Velma Carmen, and Marvin Miller was Prince Carew. 29,000 nurses are needed to join the new Army Nurse Corps Officers Reserve. 4,000 of them, if they wish, may choose active duty. All nurses who receive reserve commissions will benefit from the opportunity for specialized training offered to them by the Army. The educational opportunities offered the nurse by the Army Medical Department will be of great advantage to her in her work. Don't wait. If you're a registered graduate nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, drop a card now for complete information to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. Original music for this program is by Dick Around. Jeff Regan, Investigator, is heard every Saturday at 9:30 over CBS. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett and Myers. First major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to auto detail. An organized gang of thieves has been stripping cars in your city. None of the stolen merchandise has turned up. There's no lead to the identity of the members of the gang. Your job? Stop them. Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. No wonder. More and more smokers are learning this fact for themselves. Chesterfield, low in nicotine, highest in quality. A published fact, proved by chemical analyses of the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever with a record like this. Regular or king size, Chesterfield is best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, June 13th. It was overcast in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of auto theft detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Nelson. My name's Friday. I was on my way into the office, and it was 7:52 a.m. when I got to room 45. Auto theft.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, Bob. You seen Frank?
No, he hasn't come in yet.
Oh, all right.
Hey, Joe?
Yeah.
When Art gets in, tell him I'm down R&I, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Bob, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. What happened to you?
Well, if it's all the same to you, I'd rather not talk about it.
That bad, huh?
You seen Joe?
Yeah, he's over his locker.
Thanks. Morning, Joe.
What happened to you?
Joe, I'd rather not discuss it.
Well, what happened? All those scratches on your face there?
Please, Joe.
Well, I was just asking.
Look pretty bad, huh? Joe?
Yeah.
I look pretty bad, huh?
I thought you didn't want to talk about it, you said.
If word about this gets out, Joe, I ain't ever going to live it down.
Is that right?
I've been had, Joe. Cop for 12 years, I've been had.
Well, what's it all about?
You won't spread this around, will you?
Look, I just asked you what happened. Now, if you don't want to tell me, I'll go along with you. You don't have to say a word. Come on, let's get on the reports. What do you say? You better get in touch with Bowles when he comes in and try to check some of these out, huh?
You're not even interested, huh?
All right. You want to tell me about it?
Well, if you really want to hear.
Go ahead.
Well, last night I took Faye down to the store. She had a little shopping to do. Small stuff, you know. Pot holders, dish towels, things like that.
Yeah.
I got a parking place right in front of the store, so I waited in the car for her.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there listening to the radio when this fellow walked up to the car. He leaned in the window and asked me if I had a minute. I told him I did and asked him what he wanted.
Did you know the guy?
Never saw him before. Didn't know him from Adam.
Uh-huh.
Right off, I could see the guy had trouble.
How do you mean?
Well, he looked real bad, like he'd been on a drunk for at least a week. His clothes were all rumpled up, looked like he slept in them for a week. You know how I mean.
Yeah. What did this guy want to talk to you about?
When I saw him, I figured he was going to put the bite on me, so I braced myself, you know.
You braced yourself, huh?
Yeah, you know. I'm a real sucker for hard luck stories. Faye's always telling me I should learn to stay away from those guys. She was just saying the other night that
what did this guy want? Frank?
Huh?
Well, what do you want, this fellow that talked to you?
Oh, well, he gave me this story about how he'd been on a bat and how he was broke and he needed some money to clean up before he went home.
Mm-hmm.
But he makes it real plain that he does not want a handout. Nothing for nothing.
What do you suppose he meant by that?
That's when he showed me the package.
The package, huh?
Yeah.
What package?
Well, the one he was carrying. Didn't I tell you that?
No, you didn't yet.
Well, you see, before I couldn't see it. Then he showed it to me. It's all done up in tissue paper, ribbons and all. Paper was kind of dirty, like he'd been carrying it for a long time. Ribbon was a little tired, but it was there.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked me if I wanted to buy it.
That was this package.
Well, what was in it? He asked me if I wanted to buy that.
Well, what was in it?
He took off the paper and he opened the thing up. And, Joe, inside is a brand new razor. Brand new. Worth $26 in town.
What kind of a razor?
Well, he said he'd let me have it for $20.
No, what kind of a razor? Just a razor, the kind you shave with?
Yeah, an electric razor.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me it was electric.
Didn't I say that,
Joe? No, you said he let you have it for $20 just because he needed the money.
Yeah. Well, happened that I didn't have $20. You know me, so I told him I couldn't make a deal.
Then he left, huh?
No, Joe. Now, look, you wanted to hear it. Will you let me finish?
Well, it takes you a little time. I have to keep drawing you out here.
I'm sorry, Joe. I want you to get all the facts. We're officers together. We talked back and forth for a little bit. Guy finally said that I looked like I had an honest face.
That's a new approach, isn't it?
Joe.
Well.
So finally he says you'll let me have the razor for $15. So I bought it.
That's how you cut your face up, huh, with that new electric razor?
Well, in a way. You see, I had to buy some blades last night, and since I had the new electric, I didn't do it.
Well, you don't need blades for an electric.
No, it wasn't for the electric, Joe. It was for the old one that I had at
home.
home.
But you had the electric now.
Sure, and once I had that in my hand, I didn't want any blades. Only thing I had in the house was a blade that was a week old. So I got up this morning, plugged in my brand new electric. What do you figure happened?
Well, I'm going to take a real blind guess. It didn't run.
How'd you know?
Well, the same thing happened to Murphy over in robbery last month. There was a big laugh around here. You were one of the guys who laughed the most, don't you remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember now. It's miserable.
Murphy know about this yet?
No. I ain't about to tell him either.
Friday, Smith?
Yeah, Skipper.
See you guys?
Right.
Close the door. Sit down.
Thank you.
What happened to you, Smith?
It's a long story, Skipper.
Well, you can tell me later. Why don't you guys take a look at this?
What do you got there?
Just saw Chief Brown on the way in. He's getting pressure from the corner pocket. They want this thing cleared up.
What is it, Joe?
Last few weeks, car stripping's taken a big jump. Not the usual line of stuff. Not just happening in certain neighborhoods. We got reports here from the Valley, Hollywood, Wilshire, all of the divisions. Same thing's happening all over town. Talk to the boys in the sheriff's office. They're getting it. Same in Burbank, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica. Doesn't seem to be any place they aren't getting to.
How about the stolen stuff, Skipper? Any of it show up yet?
Not that we can find. All the usual outlets have been checked. None of the loot can be bought.
Any special kind of things being taken?
Let him see those reports, Jim.
Yeah, here.
Thanks.
Take a look. We're not messing with kids in this thing. The way the victims tell it, this gang can break into a locked car and lift the radio in under 10 minutes. They can pull all four wheels off a car in under 6 minutes. Insurance companies are screaming. They already got into the police commission. Chief Brown told me this morning he didn't care how we did it, but he wanted it stopped.
Well, where do we start?
Well, up to now, the investigation's been handled pretty much by the divisions. From here in, it's in your laps. Use as many men as you need. Just bring the thieves in. You're not working on anything now, are you?
No, we're not. We're just winding up that Gibson thing. Couple of reports to finish. We should be through by noon.
We'll turn the reports over to somebody else. I want you to start on this thing right away.
Okay.
Right, Skipper.
Anything you need, let me know.
Right, check you later.
Right. Smith?
Yes, sir?
How'd you get all those cuts in your face there, Shaden?
Well, in a way, yeah.
Yeah, same thing used to happen to me. Why don't you get yourself an electric razor?
8:11 a.m. Frank and I asked one of the other men in the detail to take care of the reports on the case that we'd finished, and then we started through the statements we'd gotten from Captain Nelson. From them, we got a pretty good idea of how the car stripping ring was operating. There seemed to be a definite plan for the thefts. Most of the stolen articles were in the luxury class. Only radios were taken from Cadillacs and Lincolns. Heaters were stolen from Chryslers. Special hubcaps from foreign cars were listed among the stolen property. We had the stats office make a run on the MO that we could piece together, but their information led us nowhere. In none of the reports was there a possible description of the thief. The times the cars were stripped and the locations where the burglaries occurred made it apparent that it was a large-scale operation. For the next 2 days, we talked to the victims. We double-checked the time of the thefts and the movement of the victims immediately preceding the car stripping. We asked about people loitering in the vicinity of the parked cars. None of the drivers who'd been victimized could supply us with any more evidence than they'd given us in their statements. Friday, June 16th, we checked the list of recent parolees from state penitentiaries and work farms looking for ex-convicts who'd been involved in cases of car stripping. The list of names we came up with were checked out, but they led us nowhere. In the meantime, the pressure from the citizens groups in the city had gotten worse. At the end of the first week we'd been working on the case, the value of stolen articles reached about $500 a day. Additional officers were assigned to patrol the streets. Radio cars doubled the number of field interrogations they normally made, and although several arrests were made, the possibles picked up apparently had no part in the activities of the organized ring. On Saturday, June 24th, we got a call from an ex-convict. He asked us to come out to his garage and talk to him.
Come on back here, fellas. We can talk while I finish up.
All right.
Hey, quite a place you got here, Al.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky. Got just about all I can handle now. The way business is going, I'm going to have to take on some more help.
How many men you got working for you now, Al?
2 full-time. Saturdays, I got a couple of kids who come in and help out with the wash jobs. Now, we can talk right here. Pull up a couple of those chairs.
All right.
There's a rag there on that bench if you want to wipe them off. They get a little dirty standing around.
That's okay, Al. What do you want to see us about?
Well, first off, I want to tell you guys that I appreciate the way you treated me when I fell. I'll never forget it. Real nice.
Don't worry about it, Al.
I read in the papers where you're getting a lot of heat on the stripping going around.
Yeah, that's right.
I just wondered how you're doing on it.
Well, it's going pretty slow. Why, do you know anything?
I got a couple of rumbles. You know, it's hard not to hear them. I heard that none of the stuff's been shoved, that right?
We haven't seen any of it.
Well, the way I get it, you aren't about to. Hey, hand me that socket wrench, will you?
This one?
Yeah,
Here you go.
Thanks. Fella came in here a couple days ago. I knew him from before. He said he wanted to do business. He asked me if I was interested in some good buys of used radios. I told him I might be if they were good. He said these were the best, all GMs. Then he gave me the price. When I heard that, I knew something was up.
What was he asking?
I told him he could deliver 6 Cadillac radios for $28.50 apiece. I asked him where he got them.
What did he say to that?
He told me it wasn't any of my business. Said where he got them didn't make the radios play any different.
What makes you figure he might be in on the operation we're after?
Well, I told him that if he could make deliveries at that price, I'd want a lot more than a half a dozen.
Yeah?
Well, he said he couldn't supply them. Said that he only could spring 6. I asked him if he was working alone. He told me no. I figured I ought to give you guys a call. Might be something for you.
You said you know him, huh?
Yeah, from before. Say, you guys like a cold beer?
No, Al.
No, thanks, sir.
Well, you mind if I have one? It's kind of hot.
No, go ahead.
Thanks. Day gets a little hot. You really notice it. Are you sure you guys don't want a beer?
No. No, thanks.
Never could drink it out of a can. Seems to taste better in a glass. Oh, that's good.
Who was the guy, Al?
Oh, it's Manny Phillips.
You know where you get in touch with him?
I haven't got the slightest idea.
Has he ever fallen?
Yeah, I did time at Q for GTA.
Is he on parole?
I don't know. I think he made it free like I told you. I didn't know him real well. Used to hang around. Never had much to do with him. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen him since I got out. I've been steering clear of the old bunch. Makes it easier if you don't pal around with them. Business I got's going good. Got no trouble with anybody, and I want it to go on like this. Never could figure it. Guy falls out, and right away he's back with the same old bunch. How you going to stay clean like that? Well, you aren't. Somewhere along the line, you got to make a mistake. You're right back where you started.
How long did it take you to learn it?
I spent 4.5 years at the joint.
Well, some of them fall harder than that, Al.
Yeah?
And they still don't learn. 11:20 a.m. We called the office, and Sergeants Bob Beck and Officer Art Molnar came out to the garage to stake out in case the suspect came back. Frank and I took Al Woodson down to the city hall and checked the name Manny Phillips through R&I. From the packages that were pulled, we were able to get an identification of the man who'd offered the radios for sale. We checked the information contained in the package. Phillips, whose real name was Manuel Richard Phillips, had an arrest record dating back 12 years. He'd spent 1 year at Fred C. Nellis School for Boys for car stripping when he was 14. From the time of his release, he'd been arrested on the average of once every 2 weeks. His age at the time of his latest release from San Quentin was given as 26. Out of that time, he'd spent a total of 8 years in state penal institutions. From his package, we obtained his last recorded address. We checked it out and found that he'd moved 3 months before. We checked his forwarding address. He'd moved. Finally, after talking to the managers of 9 more rooming houses and apartments, we came up with his present residence. The landlady told us that Phillips apparently didn't work for a living, but that he always had the money for his rent. She described him as quiet and said that he usually spent a good part of the daylight hours in his room. She was unable to tell us anything about his friends or any business associates that he might have. A stakeout was set up on the place immediately. Because of the apparent size of the operation, it was decided not to attempt to take the suspect into custody at this time. Instead, Captain Nelson agreed that we should keep Phillips under surveillance and try to learn more about the car stripping gang. For the next week, we followed Phillips. 24 hours a day, there were at least 2 officers tracing his movements. On 3 nights, he was watched while he stripped cars of expensive accessories. The area was put under a code 5, so there would be no possibility of the suspect learning he was under observation. 11 days after the surveillance began, Phillips was observed to visit a large marine supply yard down in San Pedro. The next night, July 6th, he drove up to the place at 11:37 p.m. He parked his car in front of the gate and dropped the large bundle over the fence. Immediately afterwards, he returned to his room. The following morning at 8:06 a.m., we met with Sergeant Beck in Captain Nelson's office.
What did you find out about the ownership of the supply yard?
The license was issued to a Harry Swenson.
Well, how about him?
We checked the name through the eye bureau. Nothing on him there.
Beck, you and Molnar come up with anything?
Not that you haven't got. We staked out on the yard every night since we found it. Hasn't been a night that passes some car hasn't made a delivery of some kind. Got the license numbers of all the cars. They've all been checked out. We know who they are and where to find them.
We've had a tail on Swenson every minute. Must have eyes in the back of his head. As soon as one of our men falls in step, he knows that the way he's acted, there isn't a thing we can prove.
What's the DA's office say about it?
We had lunch with Alexander yesterday, Skipper. Laid out the evidence we had.
Yeah?
Told us if we tried to take Swenson to court with what we've got, they'd laugh us out of town.
Well, where does that put you?
Well, really not much further than we were. We know who's behind the ring. We know where they're operating from. The big thing now is to find the plant. Unless we can produce the stolen merchandise in Swenson's possession, we haven't got a case that'll stand up.
And no leaks about the plant?
No, not that we can find. Everybody that's been near Swenson's place has been tailed. Twice a week there's a truck that leaves the yard. There's no way of telling what's in it, and the times we followed it, we've lost it.
Well, how about a bug? Can you get one into Swenson's office?
Well, I don't know how. There's no way of getting him out of there long enough to install one. The night watchman's always on the premises. We're not even sure he's not in on it, too.
So where do you stand on it?
Well, your guess is as good as ours. Alexander says that without finding the plant, we can't take him to court. Now, we've used every trick in the book to get him to lead us to it, and not one of them's worked.
They haven't left the thing open. They're playing it real smart.
How many men involved in the operation?
Well, we're not sure, but as near as we can figure, 12. That's not counting Swenson or that night watchman.
You've been in the business long enough to know it, then.
What's that?
When there's that many men working, there's got to be a leak someplace.
Yeah.
Find it.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. At cigarette dealers, in vending machines, at supermarkets and stores coast to coast.
Chesterfields, please.
Smokers by the thousands. Yes, smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield, the only cigarette ever to give you
1. Proof of low nicotine, highest quality, a matter of record.
2. The only cigarette ever to give you this proven record with smokers. Again and again, over a full year and one half, a group of Chesterfield smokers have been given thorough medical examinations. The doctor's reports are again a matter of record.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
A responsible independent research laboratory supervises this continuing program. Chesterfield. Best for me, best for you.
For the next week, a close surveillance was kept on Swenson's Marine Supply Yard, but there were no breaks. Kickbacks from George Brereton up at CII in Sacramento and from Washington, D.C. didn't disclose any previous criminal record on the suspect. During that week, on Tuesday, July 11th, and on Thursday, July 13th, a large stake truck left the yard. The back of the truck was covered with a piece of canvas so that we were unable to see what was in it, but we were reasonably sure that it contained stolen merchandise. In scouting the neighborhood for a possible place to establish a more workable stakeout, we came across an empty office on the second floor of the building directly across the street from Swenson's place of business. Officers equipped with binoculars maintained a constant watch on the activities in the yard. After another week, the events that had been seen were reported to Assistant District Attorney Adolph Alexander, and he stated that if we could get pictures of the operation, we might be able to make a case that would stand up in court. Monday, July 17th, we met with Sergeant Putoff in the crime lab.
How far are you going to have to be from the subject, Joe?
Well, second floor across the street.
Are you going to be able to take all the pictures during the day?
Don't think so, Putoff. Most of the activity runs after 9 at night.
Mm-hmm. Well, best bet probably infrared, then. We can shoot it with a 4x5.
How about light?
Oh, is there any sort of telephone pole, traffic signal in front of the place?
Yeah, I think so. The way I remember it, there's a phone pole about 10 feet to the left of the gate as you face the yard.
Oh, we can tie the lights to that, then.
Well, any chance they could be spotted?
Outside. You can put them up pretty high. Irregular lamp reflectors with heavy infrared filters. If you know they're there and look up, you're going to be able to spot them.
Any chance of taking movies?
Yeah, we can swing that. Life magazine's been experimenting with a new fast film. Results I've seen with it are pretty amazing. All you need is one street lamp. We can use that.
Well, if you have to string the infrared lights, wouldn't it be better to shoot the movies on that kind of film?
Well, you'd get something. Film's pretty slow, though. You'd better to use the stuff Life's come up with.
All right, how long will it take you to set it up?
Well, how careful do we have to be?
Well, these guys are pretty cagey. If they get any idea at all, we're dead.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can have a couple of men go out in the morning. We can outfit them as linemen. They should be able to have the rig ready for you by tomorrow night.
We can start shooting pictures then, huh?
Should be able to, yeah.
All right. Is Jay Allen around, do you know?
Well, I think he's over the court this morning, Joe.
Well, then maybe you can help us out there, too.
What's that?
We're trying to figure some way to tail a truck. We've been trying to find the plant these guys are using for a couple of weeks now, and we just can't get near them. We wondered if Jay might have any ideas on that.
Probably use fluorescent paint. That ought to do it.
What's the gimmick there?
They tie a can of transparent fluorescent lacquer to the back of the truck, punch a hole in the can, and all you got to do is follow the drops.
You punch a hole in the can, won't all the stuff run out?
Well, there's a couple of brands on the market. They've got enough viscosity so the paint will stay in the can. Regulate the frequency of the drops by the size of the hole.
Can you see it?
Not without ultraviolet lamp. Tie one of those to the hood of your car and you got it made.
You got the equipment here to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, would you have Jay give us a call when he comes in?
Right. He'll know more about it than I do. Be able to give you all the dope.
Okay.
I'll get right on the other for you.
Thanks a lot.
Say, how long you been after this bunch?
Well, let's see. We got the assignment on June 13th. That'd make it over a month now.
A lot of time.
Well, maybe now we'll have something to show for it. The following morning, Tuesday, July 18th, 2 men from the crime lab installed 3 1,000-watt lamps in front of the marine supply yard. The reflectors were equipped with heavy infrared filters. Test exposures from our position across the street indicated that whatever pictures we got would be recognizable enough as to be admitted in a court of law. The new fast film was obtained, and 16-millimeter cameras were installed in the window of the office across the street from Swenson's. We talked with Sergeant J. Allen in the crime lab, and he went to work on the use of the fluorescent paint. After experimenting, he was able to come up with the correct size hole in the bottom of the can so that a single drop of the lacquer would fall from the can every 10 seconds. A portable ultraviolet lamp was obtained and was ready for immediate installation on our car. For the next 3 nights, we sat in our vantage point and we photographed all activity on the suspect's premises. The pictures were shown to Adolph Alexander in the district attorney's office, and he told us that they would play a large part in the prosecution of the case. However, he said that if we could come up with the hiding place of the stolen loot, a conviction would be assured. Tuesday morning, July 25th, 3:15 a.m., Frank and I took the can of fluorescent paint and climbed the fence into the supply yard. Back here.
Right. Lousy thing, I didn't see it.
You better hold it a minute.
Who's there?
The watchman.
Yeah. Better get back in the shadows.
Yeah, come on, easy.
Come on out, I know you're there. Come on now. Who is it?
That was close.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. The truck should be back in the shed.
Right.
Here we are.
There's a can. You want to hang it? I'll keep an eye out.
Right. Can't get this thing on here. Who thought up this handle? This don't work at all. Wait a minute.
You bend it down?
Yeah. Give me your handkerchief.
Wait a minute.
There's a sharp edge on this wire.
Okay, here it is.
All right, wait a minute. We still clear there?
Yeah.
How about that watchman?
He went back.
Right there we are.
How about the stopper in the can?
I got it in place. The first bump should knock it out.
I hope so.
It's got to work. All right, now let's try to get out of here. See if you can kick something else, will you, on the way? Tuesday night at 11:35 p.m., the stake truck pulled out of Swenson's Marine Supply Yard. Sergeant Bob Beck, Frank, and I were parked in an alley just down the street. We let the truck get a good 20-minute start on us, and then the ultraviolet lamp was attached to the hood of our car. Frank started the motor, and we pulled out into the street.
Spot anything yet?
No.
Maybe the lacquer dried up around the cork, held it in place.
That's a happy thought.
Well, here's the corner. Which way?
Well, wait a minute. Let's take a chance straight ahead, huh?
All right.
Well, there's nothing up this way. You better double back.
Okay.
Let's try it to the left this time.
How about it? See anything yet?
Go on up a little more, will you? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Look at that stuff. It's really lit up.
For the next 35 minutes, we followed the trail left by the fluorescent paint. From time to time, we'd lose the trail, but we'd always pick it up again. The truck followed the main highway from San Pedro to Santa Monica and then turned left up Santa Monica Canyon. The trail wound around toward Sunset Boulevard and turned to the left. About 1 mile from the beach, the drops indicated that the truck had left the main street and turned onto a private dirt road. Half a mile along the road, the trail stopped in front of a large wooden building in the middle of a field. We turned off the car lights and went up to the place. The blinds on the windows were drawn, but there were lights on in a front room. Sergeant Beck covered the rear of the building, and Frank and I went up to the front door. All right. Yeah.
What are you doing in here?
Police officers, you're under arrest.
For what?
Is there anybody else here in the building?
What are you arresting me for?
You want to check with Beck, Frank?
Right. What are you doing coming in here like this? You got no right coming around kicking doors
All right,
in.
save it, Swenson.
How do you know my name?
We've been watching you for a month now. Is there anybody else in this house?
No.
Do you own this place?
I'm not answering anything till I see a lawyer.
All right, you call it any way you want. We can find out.
Got no right in here. I'm going to see my lawyer.
You do that, Swenson.
What's the charge?
Burglary.
You think you can make it stick?
We're going to try, mister.
Where's your evidence? You got to have evidence.
We got it.
There's nobody else here, Joe. Back room's full of stuff. Radios, heaters, tires, all here.
So what? You can't put me away for that.
All right, let's go, Swenson.
Now, just a minute. Will you listen to me a minute?
All right.
You got this all wrong. You're making a big mistake here. I intend to pay for every bit of that stuff back there. I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah, that's right. You will.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 12th, trial was held in Department 97, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we'd like to express our appreciation to all of you who've made our Dragnet theme song so popular. Whenever or wherever you hear it, we hope it'll remind you to try our Chesterfields. To join the thousands who are changing to Chesterfields and getting the one cigarette that's low in nicotine, highest in quality. Chesterfield. Best for me, best for you.
All other members of the gang were taken into custody and were brought to trial. Harry Ralph Swenson, along with his accomplices, was tried and convicted of 14 counts of burglary in the second degree and received sentence as prescribed by law. Burglary in the second degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1, nor more than 15 years.
If you had only one book, the Bible, do you know that you would have within its covers the finest examples of literature, both in prose and poetry? You'd have stories which have never been equaled, adventure, love, history, and prophecy. So read your Bible every day during National Bible Week.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Perrin, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Have you tried new cork tip Fatima? It's the smooth smoke, with Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Fatima is made and guaranteed by Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company. Try Fatima today. Hear Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
The Signal Oil Program. Yes, the Signal Oil Program.
The Whistler. That whistle is your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
Yes, friends, it's time for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, rated tops in popularity for a longer period of time than any other West Coast program in radio history. And Signal gasoline is tops, too, tops in quality. It takes extra quality, you know, to give you extra mileage. And Signal is the famous Go Farther gasoline. So look for the Signal circle sign in yellow and black that identifies independently operated Signal stations from Canada to Mexico. And now the Whistler's strange story. Perfect Alibi.
Entering the Golden Sparrow, a cozy little cocktail lounge near the far end of Beverly Boulevard, Private Investigator Johnny Seltzer, 30, handsome, off duty at the moment, found business at a standstill. He went straight to the bar and ordered a drink.
Scotch and water. I'll mix it.
Right.
Old Masters, if you have it.
Old Masters it is.
Good.
Johnny carried his drink to the nearest empty table and sat down to think. Self-centered, cynical, and, in his own estimation, a smooth operator, many things were on his mind, especially Johnny Seltzer himself. Things hadn't been going too well for him. Tom Silver, founder of the Silver Detective Agency, had threatened him with dismissal unless he changed his ways, ceased gambling, and gave closer attention to his duties. Staring moodily at the voluptuous paintings lining the walls, Johnny suddenly pushed back his chair and walked over to the jukebox at the end of the bar and slid a nickel into the slot. Returning to his table, he sat back to finish his drink, listened to the music, and sympathized with himself. Ordinarily, Johnny would have welcomed the voice which abruptly shattered his mood. A low, sibilant voice that seemed to come from nowhere.
I like music, too.
Does that make us pals?
Don't seem very happy.
I was.
Most men would be glad to see me.
Yeah, well, I'm different.
I'm sure you are. That's why I came over.
That was my wife's favorite line.
Maybe that's why it didn't register.
That could be.
You didn't like her much, huh?
I didn't.
Divorced?
I didn't kill her. Say, what are you anyway, an investigator for the World Psychology Foundation? I'm surprised you haven't asked me why I got married in the first place.
Oh, I figured that out already. So?
And it shows on you, too.
What?
Your merger with the bankroll behind that mink and ice you're modeling there.
No merger. Present. From a relative.
That's quite a coincidence, isn't it?
What is?
Two people who like money meeting up in a place like Hollywood. And now that we know all about each other, let's call it a day, huh?
Why?
Why not?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because it's still early. Maybe because it's raining outside.
That's not good enough. I like to walk in the rain. Nice if you'd invite yourself over. Maybe I'll run into you again sometime.
Wait a second.
Yeah?
Am I that hard to take?
How would I know?
You might find out.
I'm not curious.
Can I take your order?
No, thanks. I'm taking a powder.
Waiter, 2 scotches and water. We'll mix it.
I said I was leaving.
Don't be like that, Johnny. Sit down.
What was that name you called me?
You're Johnny Seltzer, Private Eye, aren't you?
Okay. You know who I am. I figured that pickup pitch was a phony. Well, like you said, I'm Johnny Seltzer.
And I'm Alice Collins.
Who's she?
She's the niece of Charles Collins.
Charles Collins. Not the #1 boy of lumber.
That's what it says in the paper. I never saw him till 2 years ago. He wrote and asked me how I'd like to live out here. And
I said I'd like it, so here I am.
Mm-hmm. Eastern talent?
I was born and raised in Springfield, Missouri.
Who sent you to me?
Nobody. I saw you out at Dilbo's one night last week. I asked a croupier who you were.
I see. The lady gambles, loses. Now she wants me to get her money back, right?
Wrong.
No, I don't think so. What did you do? Follow me here from the office?
Mm-hmm. Am I forward?
Well, just say easy to approach, like a department store.
Pardon me.
Okay, waiter. Let's have the check. Huh?
Just put it on my bill, will you, please?
Certainly, Miss Collins.
Take it out of this. Keep the change.
Thank you.
Well, that was nice of you, Johnny.
Cigarette?
Thanks.
Now, look, Springfield, you got an angle or you wouldn't be talking to me. What is it?
You ought to get over that inferiority complex. There's no angle. I just thought you'd be a nice guy to know. Later on, after I know you better, I might be able to throw a little business your way.
Detective business?
Terrific detective business. Maybe as much as $50,000.
Well, that's nice money. It's too bad I work on a straight salary. The Tom Silver Detective Agency makes the deal.
Not this one. This would be a special deal, Johnny. $50,000. Just for you. Interested?
If it was legit, you wouldn't be putting out that kind of dough.
You're jumping to conclusions, aren't you?
Maybe. But if I'm wrong, you can always take it up with the agency. You know where the office is.
Okay, Johnny. But if you ever change your mind and want to talk it over, call me up.
I will. So long, Springfield.
You can get me almost any afternoon at Melrose. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's easy to remember, Johnny. All you have to do is count 5 backwards.
When you leave the Golden Sparrow, you're sure you've seen the last of Alice Collins, aren't you, Johnny? Yet a few days later, you're not so sure. Your boss, Mr. Silver, has you on the carpet again, and you have an unpleasant feeling you'll soon be out of a job. $50,000 is a lot of money, and Alice herself is something to ponder over. She's really beautiful, isn't she, Johnny? You can't forget her lovely features, her low musical voice. The things she said keep repeating themselves.
$50,000. Just for you. It's easy to remember, Johnny. Melrose, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you have to do is count 5 backwards.
A few afternoons later, you enter a drugstore, cross to the phone booth, lift the receiver, deposit a coin, and reach for the dial.
You can get me at Melrose, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's easy to remember, Johnny. All you have to do is count 5 backwards.
With the prologue of Perfect Alibi, the Signal Oil Company brings you another strange story by The Whistler. Have you been putting off buying new tires? You're going to be glad you waited, because now you can save real money at Signal service stations. But hold on. Don't get the idea that Signal dealers are offering cut-price merchandise. Signal dealers feature nationally advertised first-line Lee tires built to top-quality standards. In fact, for 47 years, Lee has built only one quality, the finest first-line tires. And today's Lees wear much, much longer, because Lee toughens cold rubber with patented high abrasive Fill Black O. That's why Lee can back every tire with a double guarantee. Well, since such quality obviously can't be sold at cut prices, how can Signal dealers save you money? By giving you today's biggest allowance for your old tires. That's right. That sign outside Signal stations means just what it says. Biggest allowance for your old tires on top-quality Lee tires. I can't tell you exactly how much your old tires are worth, but they're worth plenty. And you can easily find out by driving into any Signal station. So before you buy any tires, see a Signal dealer. You'll be glad you did.
Johnny. A few days ago, when you left the Golden Sparrow after your pickup tete-a-tete with Alice Collins, niece of the multimillionaire lumberman Charles Collins, you didn't expect to see her again, did you? You're a licensed private detective, and she sounds like trouble. But with things piling up on you as they have, you decide you were a little hasty. An hour after phoning her, you drive to a modest little apartment building on Fountain Avenue near Cahuenga. Curious but still cautious, you knock lightly on the door.
Hello, Springfield.
Hello, Johnny. Come in.
You still like music, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I've got a good memory, too.
You have at that.
Here, let me take your hat. Then we'll go in the sunroom.
Okay.
Sit here, Johnny, and help yourself. Cigarette, scotch, and ice water.
Oh, this is cozy. Real cozy.
My uncle gives me a very nice allowance. I spend every weekend with him, out at his home near the ocean.
That's quite a home, from what I hear. Swimming pool, badminton court.
Mm-hmm. But I'm young and like to go places. Uncle Charles didn't want me to drive out there alone late at night all the time, and so he suggested I take an apartment in town. You see, I'm his only blood relative.
You ought to have quite a future.
Mm-hmm. If I'm not an old lady before anything happens to him.
I wouldn't dwell on it. Nobody lives forever.
Excuse me, Johnny.
Sure.
Oh, Frankie.
Hello, beautiful. Here.
Thanks. Oh, they're lovely.
So are you. How about a drink?
In the sunroom. You can mix me one while I put these in the icebox. I've been talking with the man for Uncle Oh, Johnny.
Hello, Snoop.
Well, you two know each other?
For years. Hiya, Frankie. What are you doing here?
I'm here a lot. How gorgeous.
Yes. You see, Johnny...
What I can't figure out is what a Snoop's doing here.
Business. Strictly business, Frankie.
You see, Uncle Charles has been sick, and, well, he heard rumors, things at the mill weren't on the up and up, and asked me to make some inquiries.
Why didn't you ask me about it, baby? I'd have gotten you the best in the business.
You don't think Johnny's good?
He's all right. Oh, forget it, Snoop. I'm sorry I acted like I was sore. But when you're nuts about a dame, bad, you know how it is.
Sure, Frankie. That's okay.
Cigarette?
Yeah, thanks.
I'll be back in a second. I want to put these on.
All right, take your time.
It's a nice cigarette. Class, too. F.B. Frankie Benson, monogrammed in Old English. Everything.
You really like it?
Like I said, Frankie. Class.
Well, here. Take a bunch.
Oh, no, I didn't mean
that. Go ahead, go on. I order them by the gross.
Well, thanks.
This job for old man Collins you're talking to the doll about.
Oh, I don't know anything about it yet. I just got here 2 minutes before you did.
No. How about a drink?
Sounds fine.
I think I'll skip it, baby. You got to talk to Snoop here. I'll pick you up at dinner around 7, okay?
Sounds fine.
Good. Drop around later on, Snoop. Say around 5:30. I might have an idea for you.
5:30 it is. So long, Frankie.
Well, Johnny, your golden girl seems a little tarnished, doesn't she? Not that you're surprised, but you are disappointed. And a little nettled to realize that a girl with the background of Alice Collins would waste her time on a gambler, a glorified hoodlum like Frankie Benson, operator of the notorious Dilbo's Gambling Club. After Frankie's departure, you make no attempt to hide your annoyance.
Nice friends you got.
Honestly, Johnny, it's not what you think.
What do I think?
You think I'm Frankie Benson's girl?
Well, aren't you?
No.
He thinks so.
I know he does. The way things are, I've had to let him think so. I owe him money, Johnny, a lot of money.
Oh. So the lady did gamble and lose.
Yes, she did. And if Uncle Charles found out, he'd cut off my allowance like that. Maybe send me back to Springfield, even.
So you want me to get your money back? Springfield. This is where I came in. Frankie Benson plays too rough for me. Way too rough.
Wrong again, Johnny. I don't want you to stick out your neck from...
What do you want me to do?
Just... that's all.
Look, Springfield, that day I met you, you mentioned a piece of business you could throw my way. $50,000 worth.
I said we'd talk about that after I knew you better.
Now, how long is that going to take?
Not very long, I hope.
As you drive out to Dilbo's at the request of Frankie Benson, your imagination goes far beyond anything you've ever thought of. You decide to marry Alice Collins. She's beautiful, and someday she'll inherit the Collins lumber fortune, reported to amount to more than $2 million. But you're worried about her connection with Frankie Benson. Frankie usually gets what he wants in one way or another. And when he doesn't, well, accidents happen, don't they? But when you enter his office, he's more than friendly.
Hello, Sherlock. Sit down.
Thanks.
Take a handful of cigarettes. You said you like them.
Well, like I said, they're class.
I haven't seen you around lately, Johnny. What's the matter? Don't you like to play here anymore?
Oh, sure, Frankie, but, well, I owe you nearly a G right now, and I figured maybe I'd better pay up before I...
Oh, your credit's always good here, Johnny. As long as we're friends.
Well, it's nice to know. Well, what'd you want to see me about?
Oh, nothing in particular. Just curious about that snoop job for old man Collins. Is it all set?
I don't know. Alice, or Miss Collins, is going to talk to her uncle about it. I'll know in a couple of days.
How come she picked you?
Well, she didn't. She called the office. The boss sent me out to talk to her.
I'm glad you told me that, Johnny. I've always liked you. If there's anything I hate, it's being jealous of a guy I like.
Well, like I told you, Miss Collins is called as a client, and the boss sent me out there. It's strictly business, Frankie.
I'm glad, Johnny. And I hope you keep it that way. Both of you.
Frankie Benson's cordial manner doesn't fool you for a minute, does it, Johnny? It only makes his thinly veiled threats more pointed. Frankie Benson is still a gangster of the old school. And you have no intention of giving up Alice Collins. But you decide you'd better be careful. And for the next few weeks, your meetings with Alice are at out-of-the-way places, usually some distance into the country. You're determined that nothing is going to prevent your marrying her and enjoying the fortune which will be hers after the death of her uncle. The idea of her uncle's quick departure doesn't seem to shock you at all anymore, does it, Johnny? She says nothing further about the business deal she mentioned. Finally, as you decide it's time for a showdown, she phones you late one evening and asks you to drop by her apartment. She seems tense and excited.
Frankie Benson dropped in this afternoon, Johnny. He wasn't very pleasant.
Now, look, you're playing with dynamite leading that guy on. He always takes care of Welchers, and when he goes nuts over a dame, he really goes nuts. The last dame that tried to fool him had a very peculiar accident. She fell on a letter opener and cut herself bad.
I know. He told me about it today while I was opening the afternoon mail. He gave me an ultimatum, Johnny. Marry him or pay up in 2 weeks.
Well, can't you figure some way to get the money from your uncle?
$33,000? While he's alive. Of course, he could go any time. He's a restless sleeper. He's got asthma, high blood pressure, and a weak heart. He might even get tangled up in the bedclothes some night and smother.
You think that might happen?
It could.
And if it did, there'd be $50,000 in it for me, right?
Yes, Johnny. $50,000 just for you.
It's too risky. I wouldn't be around long enough to spend it.
There's no risk at all. I'll take you out to Uncle Charles a couple of times. By the time you make up your mind, you'll know every foot of the place. You'll have the key to the front door in your pocket.
The servants would all be deaf, huh?
On Thursday nights, they're out. Except Whitcomb, the butler. He's always there in case Uncle Charles needs him.
Wait a minute. You'd expect me to...
Whitcomb's no problem. No problem at all. He always reads in the library, near the phone. You see, you'll open the front door at 11 o'clock. At 2 minutes before 11, I'll phone. When he answers, I'll hold him for 10 minutes at least. That'll give you all the time you need. Uncle Charles' death will be the most natural thing in the world. Doctor says it could happen any time.
Mm-hmm. You really got it figured out, haven't you?
A long time ago.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid you picked the wrong guy. Too many chances for a slip-up. Things could go wrong. The doc might get suspicious, find it was murder.
What if he does? You won't be connected with it. You'll have a perfect alibi.
What?
You'll be with me at my place all evening. There's no reason to think that I'd wish my uncle any harm. We'll have a few drinks. You can leave your fingerprints over everywhere. Forget your cigarette case, your top coat. It'll stand up. What about it, Johnny?
50,000's not enough.
After the will's settled, I'll double it.
No, that's not enough either. I'm not interested in the money anymore. I want you, Springfield. I want to marry you.
Do you think I'd ever let you get away from me, darling?
I like that.
So did I. What about next Thursday, Johnny?
Maybe. I got to figure out the other half of the problem first.
The other half?
Frankie Benson. As long as he's around, what happens to your uncle won't mean a thing.
And you do figure it out, don't you, Johnny? Frankie Benson's monogram cigarette. Instead of making it look like an accident, you'll make it look like murder. A murder that will send Frankie Benson to the gas chamber. The following Thursday evening, you go to Alice's apartment to double-check the details.
Now, look, Springfield, about Frankie Benson.
He called up a couple of minutes ago, Johnny. Wanted to drop over for a while. I told him I had a headache.
What'd he say?
He's beginning to scare me, Johnny. He told me I'd better take a nap. Said I might get dizzy and fall down and hurt myself. Said he'd call back in a couple of hours and see how I felt.
Good. That's all I needed. Let's see. It takes about 40 minutes to drive from Dilbo's to here. All right. When he calls back, tell him to come over about 11:15.
But I thought you were...
I'm taking care of Frankie tonight, too. With one of these.
Frankie's monogram cigarette.
Yeah. I worked it all out, Springfield. All I needed was a break, like Frankie's phone call. Tonight's job's going to be murder. A murder that'll send Frankie Benson to the gas chamber.
Oh, no, Johnny. The other way's safer.
We won't get another chance like this in a million years. Now, when I leave, I'll drop one of these monogram cigarettes by the front door. The rest is automatic.
Oh, no, Johnny. It won't work. The cigarette will point to Frankie, sure, but it won't stand up when he tells the police he was framed. They'll believe him. Frankie hasn't any reason to kill Uncle Charles.
I've taken care of that, too. I called the DA this afternoon. Said I was your uncle and told him to send a man out tomorrow morning. The newspaper boys will be there, too. They're expecting a big story about Frankie Benson.
Oh, you're out of your mind, Johnny. Uncle Charles never gambled in his life. He never even heard of Frankie Benson.
The DA heard different. He thinks your uncle found out about your gambling losses to Frankie. He sent out a private eye to Dilbo's. The guy picked up a couple of pairs of dice. Loaded. Cute, huh?
Yes, it is. But what about Frankie's coming here tonight?
Now, that's the clincher, baby. When he gets here, your headache will be so bad you'll have to send him away. When the cops pick him up, if he tells them he was here, he's lying. That's my alibi. I was here all of the evening.
Oh, it'll work, Johnny. Oh, you're wonderful.
Well, that's it, baby. With you to back me, it can't miss. Wish me luck, Springfield.
All the luck in the world, darling. Hurry back.
Well, I'm not coming back tonight, baby. Our alibi is all set. The evidence will back us up. I think it's better if I just hold up at home for a day or so, huh?
I guess you're right.
Now, look, don't forget to phone the butler just before 11.
I won't. Come here, Johnny.
Huh?
That's for luck, darling.
The Whistler will return in just a moment with a strange ending to tonight's story. Since this is the season when so many of the most popular radio shows go off the air for the summer, I have tonight what I trust will be good news for you Whistler fans. The Signal Oil program, The Whistler, will continue to come to you throughout the summer without interruption. This makes the 6th consecutive year that Signal Oil Company has broadcast The Whistler for 52 weeks each year. What's more, if your vacation travel should take you into other Pacific Coast states, you can still enjoy your favorite mystery, because Signal Oil Company broadcasts The Whistler on 16 CBS stations throughout 5 Pacific Coast states. For the nearest Columbia station to wherever you happen to be, just consult the handy radio log in the new Signal road maps, which are yours for the asking at all Signal stations. So this summer, when you want the tops in radio entertainment, we hope you'll continue to tune in The Whistler. And when you want the tops in gasoline quality, we hope you'll turn in to a Signal service station and fill up with Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline.
Taking care of Charles Collins was easy, wasn't it? Everything went exactly as you planned. And it came easy to you, didn't it, Johnny? You even slept soundly afterward. The following morning, lolling back in your one comfortable chair, you read the whole story in the papers. It's all over the front page. Lumber King murdered. Police solved case in record time. Killer apprehended. Everything worked out exactly as you planned, didn't it, Johnny? And in a few months, you'll marry Alice Collins and the Collins fortune. As the doorbell rings, you decide it must be another bill collector. That amuses you, doesn't it? You stroll leisurely to the door and turn the knob.
Well, it's you, Lieutenant. Hello, Jennings. Come on in, boy.
No, haven't got time, Johnny. Besides, we can talk better downtown. Get your hat.
Is that official?
Very. Murder, Johnny. Collins killing last night.
Oh, yeah. I was just reading about that when you came in.
You've been seeing a lot of his niece lately, haven't you, Johnny?
Yeah, sure. She's a client of mine. I was with her last night, at her apartment, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
From 9 until, well, nearly 1 this morning.
Is that an official statement?
Of course it is.
Make a note of it, Johnny. Well, as a matter of fact, we know all about that, Johnny. You left your fingerprints all over the place. You must have been pretty high. You even forgot your overcoat, cigarette case.
Well, I'll admit we had a few drinks. But what's the idea, Lieutenant? The morning paper says you've already nabbed the guy that killed Collins.
Yes, we have. Frankie Benson. He was a little noisy making his exit. Got panicky and dropped his card as he opened the front door. A half-smoked cigarette. Monogrammed. His own special brand.
Benson admitted it?
No. But his alibi was so phony, he's as good as convicted right now.
Yeah, but what motive would Benson have?
Plenty. Old man Collins had him cold. Crooked game. Loaded dice. He was going to give the DA the whole story this morning.
Well, if you've got everything so sewed up, why do you want to talk to me about the Charles Collins murder?
We're taking you in for the murder of his niece, Alice Collins, Johnny. She got hers about 11 last night in her apartment. Stabbed with a letter opener, as if you didn't know. Pretty clumsy accident, Johnny.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at this same time. Brought to you by the Signal Oil Company, marketers of Signal gasoline and motor oil, and fine quality automotive accessories. Signal has asked me to remind you, to get the most driving pleasure, drive at sensible speeds, be courteous, and obey traffic regulations. It may save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Jack Webb, Doris Singleton, and Eddie Marr. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by Ed Bloodworth, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted to our troops overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler is entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. Remember at the same time next Sunday, another strange tale by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers, first major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Bunko Fugitive Detail. An extortion ring is operating in your city. The victims are wealthy businessmen. The thieves claim they're policemen. Your job? Check them out. Friends, this month's Chesterfield poster features the world's greatest golfer, Ben Hogan. Now, here's what he has to say about Chesterfields.
I'm a Chesterfield smoker and have been for 7 years. The reason's simple. Chesterfield is the best for me. They're milder, and they taste great. Try them yourself.
Take Ben Hogan's advice. Try Chesterfield. the only cigarette ever to give you proof of low nicotine, highest quality, and a proven record with smokers. Chesterfield, regular or king size, best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 10th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Bunko Fugitive Detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. I'd spent the morning in court, and it was 11:45 a.m. when I got back to room 38. Bunko Division.
Well, I'm telling you, you better do something about it. Getting terrible when a citizen has a thing like this happen to him.
All right, Mr. Mather. If you'll take it easy, tell me what happened.
I got a lot of friends in this town. I happen to know one of the councilmen real well. If you don't clean this thing up, you're going to be walking a beat out in the plum thicket.
Just a minute, Mr. Mather. Here's my partner. Now, if you'll tell us what happened, maybe we can help you out.
Now, you don't need no partner. Just go out and arrest them fellas. Go get them.
What's the matter here? This is Mr. Keith Mather, Joe. It's my partner, Sergeant Friday. How are you, sir?
Now, don't you come around here trying to smooth things over. I'm not going to be happy till them hoodlums are in jail where they belong. I'm telling you the same as I told this fella. You do something about this, I'm going to take it to the mayor.
What's the matter here, Frank? I don't know. I'm trying to find out.
Well, what you going to do about it?
How about a cigarette, huh?
Thank you.
Here, I have a match. There you are.
How about it?
Sir?
Well, how about it? What you going to do?
Well, sir, if you'd start right at the beginning and tell us what this is all about, maybe we can give you a hand.
Well, there isn't a shoe shine in the world that's worth $5. I don't care what kind of wax they use. Not for $5, no, sir.
Shoe shine?
Yes. They call it imported wax. Where they charge for it must be brought in from Timbuktu. Ridiculous.
I'll get the report.
Right.
Take a match and light it, and they burn the edges of your shoe soles. Don't do nothing but smoke up your shoes, that's all. Just smoke up your shoes. A $5 hot foot.
You want to give us your full name, sir?
Keith Jefferson Mather. Now, right there on the street that threatened me.
Where'd this happen, sir?
Shoe shine stand, the corner of Main and Colon. Little place with pin-up pictures all over the walls. Never seen so many pin-ups.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if they had a card showing the prices of the shines?
Well, I didn't see one. All them pictures, hard to tell.
Well, if you just tell us in your own words exactly what happened, will you, please?
I was on my way to work. Had a very busy day, a lot of important appointments. I just parked my car and I was walking along and went by this place. A fella standing there asked me if I wanted to shine. Just so happened I did, so I climbed up in the chair. Well, I was sitting there reading the paper, and the man asked me if I wanted imported wax. I wasn't paying a lot of attention. I guess I said yes. Next thing I know, I think he's trying to give me a hot foot. I look down, he's got this big kitchen match out. He's burning the edges of my soles. Smoke coming up. I told him to stop it. I got down from the chair. I was plenty sore. You can just bet I was sore. Plenty.
Yes, sir, we can understand.
Well, I handed him $50. Figured that'd take care of the tip, too. Wasn't a very good shine. Come right down to it, a $50 was too much. All that smoke. Next thing I know, he said the shine was $5. $5? Almost climbed right down top of the place. Couldn't believe my ears. Can you imagine $5 for a shine?
That's when the men got out of the car, did they?
That's right. Them three fellas got right out. Say, how'd you know about that?
Well, sir, this isn't a new operation.
You mean tell me this happened before?
Yes, sir. We get a couple of dozen complaints a week.
We'll finish up this report, and then if you'll point out the place, we'll have a look.
Then you can just start writing. I told you I had a lot of important appointments. I can't spend all day here.
Can I see someone here, please?
Yes, sir. You want to go ahead with this, Frank? I'll see what he wants.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Could I help you?
I want to give myself up.
Sir?
This is Bunko Fugitive, isn't it? That's what it says on the door.
Yes, sir. That's right.
I want to give myself up. I'm tired of running. I haven't got any place to go.
Would you like to tell me what this is all about?
I gave him every nickel I had. I haven't even got enough money to go home. Well, I wants enough to eat on and get back home. I gave him everything.
I don't believe I understand you, sir.
I gave him all the money I had. He said it'd be all right. Now, I'm broke, and I want to borrow enough to get home.
Well, who are you talking about? Who'd you give the money to?
Policeman.
The man who'd walked into the office identified himself as Martin Dietrich. From the story he gave us, it appeared that he'd been the victim of a shakedown by a person or persons representing themselves as police officers. We turned the shoeshine parlor complaint over to one of the other officers for investigation, and then we took Dietrich across the street to the Federal Cafe. We sat down in a booth and ordered coffee while the victim had breakfast. He acted as if he hadn't eaten in several days. Frank and I waited until he finished, and then we started to question him.
If you'll just tell us what happened, Dietrich.
Sure. I'm from Chicago. I work for a wholesale drug company back there, and I had to come out here on business. I got in last Saturday.
That'd be August 7th, would it?
Yeah, the 7th. I got in at 8:45 on the Super Chief. Well, I didn't have any business to do until yesterday, so I thought I'd look the town over, get settled, you know?
Yes, sir.
I didn't even have a hotel reservation, so after I got off the train, I was waiting for my baggage to be checked through, and I went over to the coffee shop for some coffee. Sat down, started to read the paper, and must have been there for about 15, 20 minutes when this guy came in and sat down next to me.
Go ahead.
He just sat there for a couple of minutes. I didn't pay any attention to him. Busy reading the paper, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Then he asked me for a match. I gave him one, told him to keep the pack. I remember telling him that. Next thing I know, we're in a big conversation. Turns out he's from Chicago, too.
Did he tell you his name?
He said it was Gabriel Bush. Told me he was in the wholesale liquor business. Said he was out here on a selling trip, checking up on the branch office. Well, I went right along with him. Seemed like such a nice fellow. Well-dressed, cultured. Yeah, even knowing it, you sure wouldn't figure him for what he was.
What was that, sir?
A narcotic addict.
Are you sure about that?
Well, I should be. It cost me over $3,000 to find out.
You want to go on, sir?
We got a cab and went out to a big hotel on Wilshire. He had reservations there. He signed the card, and we went up to the room. The way he acted, you'd never know anything was wrong, never even suspected.
I see.
Well, we no sooner got in the room than Gabe started to unpack his suitcase.
Gabe?
Yeah, Gabriel Bush.
Oh, yeah.
He told me to call him Gabe. Said he was named after a great uncle or something. Didn't care much for the name.
I see. Go ahead, please.
Well, he unpacked his bag, and I guess I should have noticed something then, the way he acted.
How do you mean?
When he took the stuff out of his bag, he acted like he didn't want me to see what he was doing. But he did it in a funny way, so I couldn't miss noticing it. You know what I mean?
I think I do, yeah.
Well, he went into the bathroom, stayed in there a couple of minutes, and then when he came out, he had his sleeve rolled up, had a piece of cotton on his arm, like when they give you a transfusion. You know, here?
Yeah.
He had this little leather case, and when he went to put it away, he dropped it. Spilled the stuff in it all over the floor. I should have gotten out right then, right there. If I'd have had any brains, I would have gotten out.
What was in the case, do you know?
All the stuff for taking narcotics, hypodermic needle, all that stuff.
Well, what did he say when he dropped this?
He just tried to laugh it off. And then he told me that he was a diabetic, said that he had to take insulin shots. And about that time, the other two guys came in.
What did these two men want?
Said Gabe was a narcotic addict. Said they'd been after him for a long time and that they'd gotten word from the Chicago police that he was coming out here.
Yeah?
He told me that they'd been following us since we got off the train. Been following us all the time.
What'd they do then?
Took us downstairs and put us in a car. Said they were going to take us to jail. Tried to talk to him, tell him I didn't have any part in what Gabe was doing. I didn't even know about the narcotics. One of them said they knew that.
That you weren't involved in it?
Yeah. Then the other one opened up the glove compartment of the car and took out a microphone, called in here to police headquarters. Gave them Gabe's name and mine. Said they had us in custody and were bringing us in. And I kept asking the one guy in the back with me to let me go, let me get out of the car.
What'd he say?
Oh, he told me that they'd like to, but it was too late. That they'd already called in my name, said they couldn't do anything about it now. I told him how it would ruin me if the story got out. How could I explain it to my bosses? That's when they told me there was a way.
Yeah.
The one fellow said that if I could afford to take care of all the policemen who knew that I'd been picked up, maybe they could fix it. The other one, the one in the front seat, said that wasn't a good idea, that they should book me. Well, they got in a discussion about it. The one guy wanted to let me go. The other one said not to. Finally, the one with me, the one in the back seat, won out. I gave him all the money I had, $3,350.
How much?
$3,350.
I see.
Then they pulled the car over to the curb and told me to get out.
The badge these two men showed you, did it look like this one?
I think so. I was so worried I didn't get a real close look at it. I think it was the same.
I see. Either one of them tell you their names?
Not the one in the front seat. The one who wanted to let me go said his name was Lang. He said he was a sergeant.
He tell you where he worked?
Just narcotics, that's all he said.
You gave him this money all in cash, did you?
Yeah, all of it. Say, do you know him? You know these two officers?
No, sir, we don't.
You said they were policemen. The badges, the police car, even the radio.
Did you hear anyone talk back to him on that radio?
I don't remember. I was so upset about what was happening, I didn't pay any attention to what was going on. All I could think about was that I was going to jail for something I didn't know anything about. No, I don't remember.
What kind of a car was it?
A Chevrolet.
What color?
Sort of a light gray.
Will you show us the hotel where all this happened?
Sure, but I don't understand all this. The other two policemen said that if I gave them the money, everything would be all right. They said they could fix it up. Now, I don't want any trouble. All I want is enough money to get home. They said they'd fix the whole thing up. They told me there wouldn't be any trouble. No trouble.
Yes, sir.
You think they're really cops?
I don't know, but they're wrong about one thing.
What's that?
There's going to be trouble. 12:52 p.m. We took the victim, Martin Dietrich, back to the city hall. We got in touch with Lieutenant Iannone, Internal Affairs Division. We filled him in on what had happened. He started an immediate check of all police officers in the city and the county. Working from the description we'd gotten from the victim, we notified the narcotics detail. They went to work on it. A local and an APB were gotten out on the suspects. We checked the name Gabriel Bush through R&I, but when the mug shots from the packages that we came up with were shown to Dietrich, he was unable to give us an identification. 3:15 p.m. We drove the victim out to the hotel where he told us the shakedown had occurred. In the company of the manager, we went upstairs.
Come right in. This is the room.
How about it, Dietrich?
Yeah, this is where he brought me.
Mr. Alden, do you know anything about the man who took this room?
You mean Mr. Bush?
Yes, sir.
No, I don't. I do remember when he came in, registered with this gentleman here, had a reservation. I had the boy bring him up to the room.
Yes, sir.
Well, all the time Mr. Bush was signing the card, he was telling Mr. Dietrich here that there was a convention in town, how all the hotels were full up. Well, that's not right. We haven't had a really big convention in a couple of months. Why, right here in this place, we've got several rooms we could have let Mr. Dietrich have. Not that we're not doing a good business, you understand, not at all.
Yes, sir.
But we do have a few very nice rooms.
Have you ever seen this Mr. Bush before?
No, I don't think I ever have.
All right, sir. If we could take a look at the registration card, and then we'd like to talk to the cashier.
Sure.
Do you know if their bill was paid when they checked out?
I imagine so. I don't collect the money. Cashier does that. We can ask her.
All right, sir.
You think you might get a clue from her?
Well, we'd like to talk to her if we could.
She won't be able to tell you anything that I haven't filled you in on already.
Sir?
Well, it follows. I'm the manager here. Anything goes on, I'm going to know about it. Not only that, but I've worked a lot with our security officer.
How's that, sir?
House detective.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, I help him out all the time. People are always trying to get away with hotel property, but we stop them. Come right down to it, I could almost be a policeman myself. All I need is a badge and a gun.
Afraid you're a little wrong there, mister.
Just a badge and a gun.
They don't make you a cop. 4:38 p.m. We talked to the cashier at the hotel. She told us that the bill for the room had been paid by Gabriel Bush at 2:15 the afternoon of the shakedown, 3 hours after Martin Dietrich had turned over all his money to the thieves. She told us that the bill had been paid with cash and that she could give us no further information on the man. We obtained the registration card the suspect had signed when he checked into the hotel. In the usual processing of the card by hotel employees, it had been handled so much that lifting fingerprints from it was impossible. The card was turned over to Don Myers in handwriting to be checked. 5:20 p.m. The victim started to look through the photographs of police officers. Lieutenant Iannone's preliminary investigation had failed to turn up any police officers who matched the description of the shakedown men. A check with the officers from narcotics detail netted us nothing. They were still checking their sources of information to help us in coming up with a lead. 11:16 p.m. We took the victim out for dinner, and then we came back to the city hall and continued to go through the pictures. At 1:26 a.m., he finished the last book without finding the men who'd claimed that they were police officers. We checked out of the office, and Dietrich spent the night at Frank's house. The following morning, Wednesday, August 11th, 8:04 a.m., Frank and I met with Captain Didion in his office.
Well, where are you on it?
Not too far, Skipper.
What have you got?
Well, we checked the files. We're pretty sure that they aren't policemen.
How about narcotics? They come up with anything?
Not yet. They're still working on it.
You need any extra men?
No, not right now. We might later.
I got Johnny DeBetta standing by. You can use anybody else you need, but clean this thing up. Where do you go from here?
Well, we're getting descriptions out to all the hotels, warning them about the racket, asking them to call us if this Bush guy registers again.
Doesn't seem like he'll use the same name again.
No reason not to, Skipper. He doesn't know we're on to him.
I suppose so. I got an idea last night. Might work. At least it'd be something to start on.
All right.
Well, it figures that the only men who'll go for this dodge have got responsible positions in their hometowns. If they didn't have, they wouldn't care about being brought down here along with Bush. Is that right?
Yeah, that follows.
They got to be from out of town so the con men can get rid of them fast.
Yeah.
Now, this Dietrich, he was picked up in the Union Station, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And if you're going to pick your men up, that's the place to do it. Try to nail them while they're setting the mark.
Yeah, it might work. Be better if one of us was the mark, though.
That's what I had in mind. You got any good luggage, Joe? Expensive looking?
Well, I got a set my mother gave me last Christmas. Looks pretty good to me.
We'll try it then. Smith, you'll work with DeBetta. Keep a tail on Friday from the time he gets into Union Depot. Joe.
Yeah.
Here's the timetable.
What?
Tomorrow morning you start riding the train.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. It's taking place at your dealers, cigarette dealers coast to coast.
Smokers by the thousands are now changing to Chesterfield. Join them today, and you'll be smoking the only cigarette that gives you proof of low nicotine, highest quality. I want you to know that's a matter of record. And so's this. As I've been telling you, Chesterfield is the only cigarette with this proven record with smokers. No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. Good reasons why you should change to Chesterfield? You bet. Ask for Chesterfield. Regular or king size, best for you.
The following morning, Thursday, August 12th, I drove out to Pasadena. At 8:12 a.m., I caught the train on its last stop before it reached the Union Depot in Los Angeles. At 8:45 a.m., the train pulled into the station. I got off, walked up the ramp into the terminal. From there, I walked over to the coffee shop and waited for over an hour. From where I sat, I could see Frank and Sergeant John DeBetta further down the counter. At the end of the hour, no attempt had been made to approach me, and we called off the operation for the day. While I was in the coffee shop, I watched for anybody matching the description of the suspect, Bush, but if he was there, we didn't see him. The operation was staged again for the next 2 days without results. On Sunday, August 15th, I went through the same procedure. After the waitress brought my coffee, I waited. 9:02 a.m.
Mind if I sit down here?
No, go right ahead. Here, I'll move my coat.
I'll get it for you. You're not going to need an overcoat out here. Sure is hot.
Yeah, I guess so. This is my first trip. Thought I'd bring one with me anyway. California weather, you know.
Yeah, you never know. Where are you from?
Chicago.
Want to take the chief in?
Yeah. Just thought I'd have a cup of coffee before I start out to find a hotel.
Yeah. Guess I had to introduce myself. I'm Gabriel Bush. Friends call me Gabe.
Well, my name's Friday. Did you just get in, too?
Yeah. I work for a wholesale liquor company in Chicago.
It's a small world. Where are your offices?
On State Street. Got a little trouble with our West Coast office, so the boss sent me out to see if I can straighten it out. What are you doing here?
Oh, just kind of business and pleasure.
Mm-hmm. What line you in?
Machine tools.
Well, how long are you going to be in town?
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm leaving Tuesday.
That doesn't give you a lot of time here. You know anybody in town?
No, sir, I don't. Not a soul.
Where'd you say you're staying?
Well, I'm not staying any place. I haven't got a place yet. Thought I'd go over to the Statler.
Oh, you're not going to get in there. Matter of fact, you're going to have a rough time getting in any place.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, there's a big convention in town. No rooms to be had. I made my reservation a couple of weeks ago, and the office out here took care of it.
Oh, I didn't know it'd be that crowded.
Should I tell you what?
Yeah?
Come on over to my hotel. You can park your luggage there, and I'll get in touch with a couple of friends here and see what they can do.
Well, that's sure nice of you, but I don't want you to go to a lot of trouble. I'll find a place somewhere.
It's no trouble at all. Can't let a fellow Chicagoan stand out in the cold. I'm sure the boys can find you a place.
And you know, I sure appreciate all this.
I don't think anything about it. Who knows? Maybe you'll be able to do something for me someday.
Yeah, maybe I can. We walked out of the terminal and we got into a cab. I could see Frank and DeBetta following us. The address Bush gave the cab driver was out on Wilshire. We pulled up in front of the place. We went in. The suspect signed the registration card and we went upstairs. All the time he kept up a running conversation about how difficult it was to get a hotel room. The bellboy left our bags in the room and asked us if we wanted them opened. Bush made it apparent to both the boy and to me that he was the only one who was going to open his own suitcase. After the bellboy left the room, Bush laid his bag on the bed and snapped it open. He took out a small leather case, trying to keep me from seeing it, and at the same time making sure that I did. He went into the bathroom, and after about 2 minutes, he came out. He'd taken off his coat, and his left shirt sleeve was rolled back. He had a small piece of cotton on his arm.
I feel a lot better now.
What's the matter? Something wrong?
Oh, no, nothing at all. You see, I'm a diabetic. I have to take insulin shots every so often.
Oh, that's too bad.
I'll get this back in my suitcase, and we can start looking for a room for you.
Well, that's nice of you.
Huh?
Oh, here, let me give you a hand. I'll help you pick it up.
Oh, no, it's all right. Don't worry about it. I can get it.
Here, just a minute. I guess this spoon's part of it, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you used a spoon for insulin. I'll get it.
Wait a minute. Let me put this stuff away.
Well, I'll open the door, see who it is anyway, huh? Yeah, what do you want?
Police officers, you're under arrest.
What for?
Narcotics.
What are you doing breaking in here like this? You got no right coming in a room like this.
Knock it off, Bush. Been after you for a long time. We finally nailed you, and I don't bawl about it.
This other fellow cop, too?
Yeah, this is my partner, Roger Silby.
Now, listen, I had no part in this. I just met this guy. If you want him, okay, but don't tie me in with him, please.
Too bad, mister. Get your coat.
And where are we going?
Downtown. We got to book you.
But I had no part in this. I tell you, I just met the guy just this morning down at the depot. I just met him. I'm not mixed up in anything. If my company finds out about this, it's going to cost me my job. Now, you guys got to give me a break, please.
Should have thought of that before, mister. A little late now.
Yeah, but if my boss hears about this, he's going to kill me.
Come on, why don't you give the guy a break? He's telling the truth. I just met him. He's got no piece of the action.
That's rough. Maybe next time he'd be more careful who he bums around with. Let's go.
Oh, please, give him a break.
You guys are all alike. You cry when you get tagged.
Yeah, but this isn't right.
Let's go. We're taking you in.
Well, what's the charge?
We'll tell you in jail.
The two men had shown us badges when they came in, but they'd flashed them by so fast there was no way of taking a good look at them. They made Bush and I get our things together, and then they took us downstairs. As we walked through the lobby, I nodded to Frank and Johnny DeBetta. They followed us at a distance. The plan was that I'd get in the car with the suspects and then give them the money. After that, they'd be taken into custody. Until they'd actually taken the money, all we could prosecute them on was a charge of impersonating an officer. Once the currency was in their possession, we could prove extortion, a felony. After we left the hotel, we walked up Wilshire Boulevard, and we stopped by a gray Chevrolet.
All right, get in.
Is this a police car?
That's right. I'll take this one in front with me. Okay. All right, get in.
You're making a mistake.
We'll let the judge worry about that.
I'll call in and tell them we're coming in.
Right.
This is car 12-7, car 12-7. We have 2 prisoners in custody. We're taking them downtown for booking. Repeat, we have 2 prisoners in custody. We're taking them downtown for booking.
All right, just sit back, mister. You got a long ride.
What are they going to do to me?
We just book you. After that, it's up to the court.
Yeah, but they're going to let me go, aren't they?
I don't know. They got a big drive on now about narcotics. Court's getting pretty rough. Had a guy up just last week. They caught him in a car with another fellow who was smoking marijuana. This one guy didn't even know it was tea. They really nailed him. Hey, how long did they give Jensen?
You mean on that T-rap last week?
Yeah.
5 years.
Now, you see, they're really getting rough.
Yeah, but you know I didn't have anything to do with this. You said that yourself. You know that. Listen, isn't there some way? There's got to be a way.
I don't know. We don't like to see guys like you nailed, but the pressure's on us, too. We'd like to just let you out of the car, forget we ever saw you. We can't do it.
Why not? Why can't you?
Too many people know we picked you up.
Well, who? Who knows it?
Well, our office, for one. As soon as we spotted you and Bush at the hotel, we called them. Told them we were going to take you into custody. My partner just called in and told them we had you. People on the radio know it. Must be a couple of dozen. No, I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do. Sorry.
It's a lousy deal. It's going to ruin me. You guys know that. I'll lose my job. I'll be through.
I don't know. We'd like to help you out, but you can see there just isn't any way.
But there's got to be.
Sylvie?
Yeah?
How about it? Can't we just let him out?
You tell me how we're going to get away with it. How are we going to explain when he isn't there to be booked?
Oh, look, he's a nice guy. I don't want to see him get into trouble for something he didn't do.
Neither do I, but how do you figure to square it? Well, you're bright cops. Come on, give the guy a break.
Suppose we could take care of the watch, Commander. Maybe he'd forget we called in.
Taking care of him is expensive.
Yeah. How much money you got on you?
Oh, about $2,500.
It's not too much. Can you raise any more?
No, not without sending home. I can't do that.
How about it, Sylvie? $2,500 enough?
Won't go very far. A lot of people to take care of.
That's all he's got.
Ain't enough. Let's book him.
Oh, come on. We've been riding together a long time, Sylvie. This is the lousiest deal we've ever had to pull. If we take the $2,500 and explain it to the commander, it'll work. Come on, let's give the guy a chance.
If it goes wrong, it's on your neck.
All right. I'll take the beef.
Okay, shove him out. We got to take Bush in, though.
All right. Come on, give me the money.
Sure. Here you are. It's all there.
Okay. Sylvie?
Pull over. Let's let him out.
Where are we?
4th and Spring.
Would you mind dropping me off a couple of blocks up the street?
This isn't a taxi service, mister. You're coming out of this smelling like a rose. Don't press your luck.
Oh, just a couple of blocks up there near First.
Why? What's over there?
Study Hall. You're under arrest. The 3 men were taken into custody, and then the marked money was booked as evidence. We got in touch with the victim, Martin Dietrich, and asked him to come down to the City Hall and give us an identification. He looked at the suspects and then stated positively that they were the men who'd shaken him down.
That's them.
You'll sign a complaint?
You bet I will. I want to see him get theirs. Oh, it's all a beef, little con game, that's all. So we took the mark.
Shut up, Lang. They still got to prove it.
That ain't going to be hard with the help your friend Gabe handed out to them. Imagine being so dumb you pick a cop as a mark.
Well, both of you went along with it.
Oh, you're dumb, Gabe. Face it.
All right, let's go. Come on, mister.
Don't give me no orders, cop. You got me in custody, that's enough. Now don't order me around. I'll go when I'm ready.
Come on, Lang.
Hey, you know something, cop? I think I play the part better than you do.
Now, I'm going to tell you something, mister. I want you to remember it. As a con man, you're a flop. You wouldn't know a mark if he came up and hit you right in the mouth. Besides being bad at that, you're a liar. The worst kind of liar. You go around telling people that you're a cop. You flash a tin badge and right off you're the law. You don't care what you do or who you hurt. I've been in this business a long time. I've seen a lot of 510s come across the desk here. Guys who take old women, cheap crumbs with a handkerchief switch in the smack game, but at least they don't try to hide behind a phony badge. We don't know how many people you pull this cheap deal on, but we're going to find out. We'll get every name there is, and then we'll make you on all of them. I live in this town. I work here, and I like it. There are 4,500 men in the city who feel the same way, all cops. Men are trying to prove that the law's here to protect people, not to cut them down. They spend every day of the year making up a good score, and you come along and tilt it. Every one of those people you hit thinks he's been taken by a cop now. A cop whose hand was reaching for money that wasn't his. You keep wearing that grin, Lang. See if you can still make it when we turn the key on you. Now let's go. You want to take him outside, Frank? I'll be right with you.
Yeah, come on.
That all you need me for?
Yeah, Martin, we'll be in touch with you.
Right. Too bad about all this, isn't it?
Yeah.
All those people that bunch took, they're always going to think those guys were real cops.
Yeah, that's right.
Never going to know. Of course, you can't blame them, not really. Look how they got to me. I guess there just ain't any way to tell if a guy flashes a badge, you know. How are you going to tell?
Yeah, there's one way.
How are you going to know he's a fake?
When he asks you for money.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 17th, trial was held in Department 92, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we'd like to express our appreciation to all of you who've made our Dragnet theme song so popular. Whenever or wherever you hear it, we hope it'll remind you to try our Chesterfields. To join the thousands who are changing to Chesterfields and getting the one cigarette that's low in nicotine, highest in quality. Chesterfield. Best for me, best for you.
Gerald Richard Lang, Richard Harris Silby, and Gabriel Norris Bush were tried and convicted of violation of Section 518 PC, extortion. They received sentences prescribed by law. Violation of Section 518 PC is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1, nor more than 10 years. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Perrin, Herb Ellis, Paul Richards. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely new Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork tip Fatima? It's the smooth smoke, with Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Fatima is made and guaranteed by Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company. Try Fatima today. Hear Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
Novak. For hire.
Sure, I'm Pat Novak. For hire. That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak for hire. It's about the only way to say it. Oh, you can dress it up and tell how many shopping days there are till Christmas. But if you got yourself in the market, you can't waste time talking. You gotta be as brief as a pauper's will. Because down on the waterfront in San Francisco, everybody wants a piece of the cake. And the only easy buck is the one you just spent. Oh, it's a good life. If you work real hard and study a little on the side, you got a trade by the time you get to prison. I rent boats and do a few other odd jobs you can't afford to picket on. It works out all right if you put your tongue in hock. Because down here, you shouldn't talk. It's like installing a set of drums in a belfry. You make some noise, but it's never the right kind. I found that out a few days ago. Must have been Tuesday or Wednesday night anyway. I was sitting in the office reading Time magazine when the door opened. I looked up and had to keep right on going because the guy was so tall he'd have to bend over to see through a transom. And he had a voice deep enough to red out as a bassoon.
Good evening, Mr. Novak.
I'll take your word for it.
You have a small office.
I'm small time. What's on your mind?
My name is Lahey. I want to hire you.
Yeah, sit down. Are you cold?
Yeah?
That overcoat around your neck, you're either cold or a priest.
Oh. I'm a priest, Mr. Novak.
I'm sorry, Father. You got a slow brogue. What do you need?
A few hours of your time. I want you to help a man escape from prison.
Uh-huh. Father, you'll never get along with a bishop.
Mr. Novak, in a curious way, this is an errand of mercy.
Well, this isn't my year for mercy. I'm sorry, Father. Maybe you don't like to hear it that way, but if I got the right fee, it wouldn't be mercy anymore.
When I say it's an errand of mercy, that's what it is. Sometime tonight, a man is going to break out of Alcatraz. If he's allowed to get into town, he may kill somebody.
You want me to stop him?
That's right. And if he doesn't kill anybody, he can still be shot down by the police.
Well, that's the percentage, Father. If he comes off that rock, he knows that. Stop worrying about him.
If you could bring him to me, I know I can talk him into going back.
Tell headquarters they'll do the same thing.
If I did that, I'd break a promise. This is the only thing I can do. Will you help me?
Yeah, I suppose. How do I pick him up? Tread water in the bay till he comes by?
He's due in at Pier 19 sometime tonight. When he comes ashore, bring him to me. I'll be waiting at the ferry building.
Yeah, well, suppose he doesn't want to come. Suppose he wants to party. How am I going to get him there?
I don't ask you how to say the beads. If you're any good, you'll get him there.
But you don't want him in sections.
I want him all at once, Mr. Novak. I wouldn't ask you this if it weren't important. But I gotta help him. He's one of my boys.
Yeah, sure. What's his name?
Joe Feldman.
Feldman?
Yeah. If I don't worry about the spelling, you don't have to either. He's one of my boys.
Slow down. Nobody's pushing you, Father.
I don't know when he's due, but I'll be at the ferry building from 8 o'clock on.
Yeah. I only got one worry.
Huh?
Is there really a guy named Father Lahey?
I suppose you'll have to take a chance on that.
Yeah, well, it's a big chance. You come in here with a story anybody can see through like a screen door, and I'm supposed to buy it. You could dig up a collar. What happens if you're a fake?
Just try to guess right.
Suppose I don't.
Then you're in the same spot Pontius Pilate was. Good night, Mr. Novak.
Whoever Joe Feldman was, he had a good friend. Because when Father Lahey walked out of there, I knew he was all right. You could tell without even testing him. The way when you pick up a pool cue, you know right away whether it's any good or not. He stood at the door for a minute, and then he walked out. And you got a funny feeling that he didn't walk into the night, that he was big enough to wrap it around his shoulders and take it with him. I got a last look at him as he turned the corner under a street lamp. He looked even taller now, and you knew if somebody stood him in an oil field, you couldn't tell him from the rest of the derricks. Well, I made a couple of phone calls, and then I closed shop and went down to the end of Pier 19 to wait. The bay looked as dark as a bruised crow. The fog was beginning to drift in over near the piers. By 9 o'clock, you couldn't see a thing. You felt like a guy trying to shave in a bathroom full of steam. I was about 30 feet from the end of the pier when a small boat pulled in and let somebody out. I was sure it was my boy, so I moved behind a shed and waited. The boat pulled away, and the guy started down the dock. I waited until he moved past me.
Oh, sorry.
You ought to be glad. How's the rock?
Huh? You lonely, mister?
What do you care?
If you are, buy a beer and talk to the bartender. I'm busy.
All right, you're tough, Feldman. Let's go now.
You got dates for us?
You're going to see Father Lahey. Come on.
Well, you doubling for Gabriel? Leave me alone, mister. I don't want to go.
Now, look, Junior, if we draw straws, you're going to get the short one.
Oh. There's supposed to be a gun in your pocket?
Well, you get a chance to find out.
That's what I'm going to do, because I have one, too. If it starts to hit your stomach, back down. Now, where's yours, Mr. Timid? It's a bad night for bluffing, so goodbye.
Yeah, come here.
Go easy, fella. It's a big one.
Well, you can let go easy then. Come on, drop it. Drop it in the water. Let go. Now, you want to start again?
No. All right, I'll see you, man, Lahey. I gotta make a stop first.
Make it after.
It'll take 5 minutes. Look, mister, if you want to do it the easy way, let me make the stop. You go with me.
All right, 5 minutes, and then you see Father Lahey.
Suit yourself. I doubt if I'll make heaven, but if you want to run interference, it's all right with me. If you need the credits, you need the credits.
Joe Feldman wasn't very friendly. He sat over in the corner of the cab, and he didn't say a thing. He just kept looking at me and waiting, like a guy feeding arsenic to a rich ant. A few minutes later, the cab pulled up in front of a hotel on Geary Street, and we walked in. One look at that lobby, and you got the idea. The place was about as cozy as an abandoned mine shaft. Over by the wall, there was an old mohair couch, and the legs on it were so warped pretty soon it was going to look like period furniture. There were a few chairs, and over by the stairs, a faded calendar of a girl in tights holding a jar of mayonnaise and winking, whatever that meant. And there was a broken clock over the desk. But you knew it was all right, because nobody there cared about keeping track of time. It was something you got rid of in a hurry, like a bent quarter. When we went up to the second floor, we walked down a long hall that smelled like an anteroom to a sewer. When Feldman knocked on the door, she opened it right away. The room was full of taboo. She stood leaning there for a minute, the sort of a girl who moves when she stands still. She had blonde hair. She was kind of pretty, except you could see somebody had used her badly, like a dictionary in a stupid family. Feldman seemed to know her.
Hello, Ann.
Well, the harvest hands arrive all at once.
Yeah.
It's good for the crops, but tough on a woman. Come in. Who's your friend?
A missionary, I guess. He grabbed me down by the docks.
Does he talk or just stand there looking healthy?
He growls a little.
Do you really growl?
Come on, hurry up, lady. Your friend's got a date.
I'll bet you bite instead. Don't worry about him. He can go over in a corner and play fifth wheel.
Now, look, he's got 5 minutes. Use him quick.
Yes?
I came up with a message, Ann. The time's been changed. Stay around till 10 o'clock.
All right.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's all. You want the other 4 minutes?
Let's go.
All right. Open the door.
Yeah.
You didn't open it fast enough.
When Feldman hit me, I wobbled for a minute and went down like the price of winter wheat. If Father Lahey had any loose prayers lying around, now was the time to crate them up and ship them over, because I wasn't going to stay awake long enough to test the varnish. I rolled on the floor a couple of times, and then I took a rain check on the next couple of hours. When I woke up, it was like buying a new Nash and then finding out you can't drive. Joe Feldman was lying next to me with his throat cut like a pound of rib roast. His head was over to one side, and his body was twisted over the other way as if he couldn't make up his mind which direction to die in. I got up and rolled him on his back. He was grinning like a Pullman porter at the end of the line, and his mouth was half open as if he expected you to drop in a suggestion on your way by. I noticed right then how thin and small he was, about as fat as a shadow and tall enough to scrape his head on a lampshade. Well, there wasn't anything I could do but wish him luck. So I called the check stand at the ferry building and had them page Father Lahey. About 2 minutes later, he answered.
Hello, Father Lahey.
This is Novak, Father.
Yes?
Call in the outfield. Your boy's dead.
I see. What happened?
Somebody didn't like him lots. I wasn't around for the main event.
Where are you, on the pier?
No, I'm in some cave up on Geary Street. He wanted to come by here first. Father, who's Ann?
I don't know.
Has Feldman got a girlfriend?
He's got 2 sisters, I think. One of them's named Ann.
A tall blonde with lots of speed?
That's your definition, but it'll probably do.
She was around for a while, in case you ever want to check.
What are you going to do?
Get on the back stairs and pretend I never heard of Joe Feldman.
I'm sorry, Mr. Novak. I'm sorry it worked out that way.
So am I, Father. If you liked him, I'm sorry. He may have been a nice little guy.
Huh?
Oh, I could do without him, but if you like it, I'll say he was a good little guy.
How little?
I don't know. We could start a picket fence with him. Why?
Because you've got the wrong man, Mr. Novak.
Huh?
If he's under 6 feet, you've got the wrong man. Whoever you've got up there isn't Joe Feldman.
Well, he's happy about it now, Father.
Whoever he is, I'm sorry.
It's the percentage.
Why the percentage? If it isn't Joe Feldman, why?
That's the waterfront, Father. If your name's Joe Nobody, you still can't do better than 8 to 5. At least Joe Feldman was smart. If you're going to get your throat cut, it's a good time to send in a substitute. As soon as Father Lahey hung up, I knew hanging around that hotel was going to be a waste of time, like sending MASH notes to a bearded lady. If I couldn't prove the guy was alive, they were going to charge extra down at the desk. And if Hellman down at Homicide ever found out I brought the guy up here, I'd have about as much chance as a bottle of scotch at a cocktail party. So I picked up my hat and started for the door. I looked at him once more, but he wasn't going to say goodbye, so I started out.
Whoa.
Oh. Hello, Hellman.
Expecting me, Novak?
No, I'd have rolled him first.
Yeah. Invite me in.
Crash the party, Hellman. You'll be more at home.
All right. He sure looks lazy. Who is he?
He's supposed to be Joe Feldman.
But Feldman let him do the hard work. They must be good friends.
You better check. I don't know the guy.
Yeah, help me roll him over.
There. Here's his wallet.
Let me have it.
You're going to break your fingernails.
Give it here.
All right.
Yeah. No money in here.
You're going to drop the case?
Here's his card, Mike Greeley. Oh. Didn't he like you either?
You're wearing out the rug, Hellman. I don't know the guy.
You brought him up? I checked at the desk.
Well, check on who left then. I brought him up here on a phony lead.
Why?
Because I was hired to tow him around. He liked the room, so we dropped by.
And he cut himself shaving?
I wasn't around. There was a girl here for the handshakes.
Oh. What kind of girl?
I don't know, Hellman. How many kinds are there? Her name was Ann. She had a fast pulse. That's all I know.
You must know more than that. If you don't, you'll never get a lawyer.
I won't need one.
You'll save money at least, because you got a real hole this time, Novak. We get a phone tip and find you in the murder room.
You got half a story, Hellman.
I know, but I'll get the other half. Until then, you're under technical arrest. It's practically the real thing.
You got a technical head, Hellman. I wouldn't tip myself off.
Somebody else would. Walk around, Novak, and tire yourself out. Because you'll wind up sitting down. In the meantime, I'll have you tailed.
Your men couldn't follow a moose through a revolving door. Now, look, Hellman, I'm going to double back. This guy's a phony lead. I was supposed to meet a guy named Joe Feldman, but he never showed up.
He didn't?
No.
I got a dead copper to prove he did. Your boy Joe Feldman killed a sergeant named Grubb at the Gold Rush Club a half hour ago. You better start that walk, Novak.
Well, there are two kind of raps you can't ever beat. Cheating a woman with kids and killing a copper. So I knew Joe Feldman could put in for reservations right away. And I knew Hellman would stay with him like a February cold. He'd stay with the whole thing, and I'd have a real tough time explaining. I couldn't explain it to myself. What about the message up in that room? Why did the little guy tell Ann to stay until 10 o'clock? Why did he get off at Pier 19 instead of Joe Feldman? Once he got there, what was Feldman doing at the Gold Rush Club, and why did they spot him so fast? Well, it pointed to one thing, a police tip-off, but that's as far as I could go. On the way down, I stopped at the desk, and I asked the clerk to see the register. He pushed it over toward me. It was a dirty brown thing that looked like an old tortilla somebody had left behind. It didn't do any good. The registration was a phony. Well, I had to do something in a hurry, so I looked up the only honest guy I know, an ex-doctor and a boozer by the name of Jocko Madigan. He's a good man, and he used to be a smart one, too. And still he started chasing a jigger of beer with a glass of whiskey. I finally found him in the Pied Piper room arguing with somebody about the words to Annie Laurie.
Ah, Patsy. A drink for Mr. Novak. Something cheap but impressive.
Oh, stop it, will you, Jocko? Are you going to be drunk all your life?
Yes, it's only a matter of willpower, Patsy. I'm probably the only man in the world who intends to carry a hangover into eternity.
Well, stop long enough to give me a hand, will you? I'm in trouble.
Of course you're in trouble. You'll always be in trouble because you can't recognize it, Patsy.
You're fuzzy, Jocko.
You have the social outlook of a bull with a hot foot, and there's no hope for you because if from time to time a moral feeling does sweep over you, you mistake it for influenza and go to bed.
All right.
Oh, you try hard enough. You go through the motions, Patsy, but you never get anywhere. You go stumbling through life doing a tight wire act on a rubber band. You're always in the middle.
Will you listen to me?
It's because there's no variety in your life. You won't allow it. You're a broken-down banjo, not a very good instrument to begin with. And to make matters worse, you allow everybody to come along and pluck the same string.
All right. Are you all through now, Jocko?
Yes, you sound angry. I think you have a bad disposition, too. What kind of trouble?
Well, I tried to help some guy out of prison tonight.
You got drunk and thought you were the parole board?
No, I did it for a good guy, a priest named Lahey.
Yes?
The guy was already out, and Father Lahey was trying to hurt him back without getting shot, but this guy Feldman didn't want to play.
Another drink will clear this up for me.
I picked up the wrong guy. I took him to a Geary Street hotel. I napped a while, and they cut him up like a piece of parsley.
Sounds like a gruesome hotel.
The dead guy's name is Mike Greeley. I don't even know who he is.
Well, this is no time to start building a friendship anyway. Who is in the room?
Some girl. She may be Feldman's sister.
Would she kill a man?
Well, if she did, he'd be crushed to death. No, I'm sure somebody else came in that room.
You better talk to Feldman.
Well, he's a hard man to reach. A sergeant almost made it tonight. Feldman shot his way out of the Gold Rush Club.
That's one way to get out of a nightclub.
Well, Hellman steamed up, so you got to help me, Jocko.
You'd better look up Father Lahey. You'll probably be electrocuted, and if you are, he may have some drag.
I want you to go down to the Chronicle morgue and pull the clips on Joe Feldman, will you? Get everything you can, and then hit the horse parlors. Find out what they know about him, huh?
Maybe he's a heavy drinker. I'll check the bar.
Jocko, wake up and get down there. If I don't pace Hellman on this thing, I'll be a dead pigeon. What am I supposed to do?
I don't know. You might start cooing. Good night, lover.
Well, as soon as I left Jocko, I went down to the Gold Rush Club on O'Farrell Street. It was a little nightclub where they charge 80 cents for a drink of whiskey that'd kill a redwood. The floor show was just as bad, and the headliner was an Oriental dancer whose only talent was a zipper. I sat at the bar, and I tried to pry some talk loose, but they liked the boss. I finally got a hold of a fat waitress who should have been wearing a harness instead of slacks. She told me a little. The owner was a guy named Charlie Giffen, and he used to make book with Joe Feldman. She told me that Joe's sister worked at the Gold Rush Club for a while, but she got sick a few months ago and quit. I asked the girl if tonight's shooting was a police plant. She didn't know, but she said that Feldman had been in to see Giffen tonight, and on his way out he ran into trouble. I gave her $5, and she looked hurt as if somebody had given her a plow for Christmas. She showed me where Giffen's office was, and I walked back there. Giffen wasn't there, but the taboo was.
Do you have the right door, Mr. Novak?
You seem to be in all of them.
Do you mind if I lean in the doorway?
No, but I'll bet you need shoulder pads by this time. Where's Charlie Giffen?
Why?
I want to ask him about Joe Feldman.
Ask me. I'm his sister.
I'll ask you about Mike Greeley. Who killed him?
I don't know. Is he dead?
Yeah, he couldn't stand the bleeding.
He was all right when I left.
What were you doing up there?
Waiting for Joe. My sister and I were going to meet him up there. Relax, Mr. Novak. Relax for me.
No, when people relax for you, they do it on the floor. I was out long enough for homicide to catch up. They want me for Mike Greeley, but I'm going to send them you or Joe.
You're forgetting my sister Norma.
Should I?
For most things, yes. But she was up in that room tonight after me.
I'll ask her.
Ask her about the money, too.
Well, you're out in front of me on that.
You can see me better that way. Joe had a lot of money on him tonight. With the police out, he wouldn't carry it with him. By now the money's gone, so's Norma.
Oh.
Do you know where it is?
No.
Well, you growl and you bite and you lie. You must have a full day. Sit down, relax.
I want to see Giffen.
He won't be back tonight. Now lean back. That's it, Patsy.
You really want that money?
I can split a motive.
Can you split it 90-10? If you can't, you better get your breath back.
I won't need it. I don't want to talk anymore. Come here and make me stop. Over close.
If I get any closer, I'll be on the other side of you.
Yes. Patsy, you ought to get time and a half, darling.
Hello, Ann. Thought you were coming in to curl up with a good book.
Mr. Novak came by full of questions. This is Charlie Giffen, Patsy.
I got some questions for you, too, Giffen.
Well, ask him down the bore of this gun. Over by the desk, Novak.
Did you lose that knife, Giffen?
By the desk. That's it. Where's the money, Novak?
I gave her the last report.
Where's the money? Joe gave it to somebody?
Try the Red Cross, mister.
You got a tender face, Novak. Now get out of this club before I slap on a cover charge.
Oh, I was getting sick of tonight. In 3 hours, I'd seen more service than a mixmaster in a cooking school. When I left the Gold Rush Club, I dropped by headquarters. Hellman had nothing to show but his badge. They had a dragnet around the city for Joe Feldman, and they'd lined up the record on the dead guy in the hotel. He'd been a friend of Joe's before his trip to Alcatraz. There wasn't much I could do. If homicide couldn't find Joe, I couldn't find him. So I looked up Norma Feldman in the phone book. She had an apartment out on the avenues, but when I called, there was no answer, so I tagged by my apartment to see if Jocko had left a message. When I opened the door, Norma was there, and she had a gun to keep her company.
Come in, Mr. Novak.
Yeah.
I came up here to kill you.
If you're Norma, the rest of the family's ahead of you.
What's happened to my brother?
I don't know.
Please, what's happened to him, Mr. Novak?
Well, if he killed a cop, he's hiding out.
I know he didn't mean to do that, Mr. Novak. Joe's not that way. Somebody told the police he was going to be there. That's why I came up here to see you.
Oh, put down the gun, huh? You can't shoot through the tears.
Mr. Novak, if you know where he is, tell me. Make him give himself up. Make him stop hiding like a small, frightened animal.
You look big to that copper.
Please. Please find him.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Jocko.
Yeah.
You sound ruffled.
Joe Feldman's sister just walked in to kill me.
Don't argue. It's the best offer you've had.
What'd you find out?
Feldman has two sisters.
I know. They both go to pieces.
The Gold Rush Club is owned by Charlie Giffen. He owed Joe Feldman $2,000, and the horse people say Joe collected it tonight.
Well, that fits in, Jocko. Everybody in town's after that dough.
They'll have to look some more. I'm out on Arguello Boulevard. Homicide just fished Joe Feldman out of the gutter.
If homicide finished second, he was a lucky guy. He didn't have the dough on him?
No.
Well, he stashed it somewhere.
Then he left it with a woman.
Yeah?
Because he's got a woman's compact in his pocket. You better hit the sister's place.
How do we know he got it there?
A woman's compact? If he didn't get it there, Alcatraz is getting too social.
Well, the minute Jocko hung up, things began to fall into place. But I knew the last piece was going to pinch somebody hard. If the Feldman blood was going to turn bad, Father Lahey was a good man to send in, so I called him. He was out, but I left word for him to get out to Norma Feldman's apartment. Norma and I left, and on the way, we picked up Hellman. When we got out to her place and started up the stairs, we could hear people moving above. There was no point in trying to keep quiet, because Hellman was creeping up the stairs like a stallion with a broken leg. Yeah, if you got a bomb, touch it off, too, huh? Well, open it, Hellman.
Hello, Novak.
Did you find the dough, Giffen?
You mean my stolen dough? Yeah. Come on, Ann.
No, you and Ann better wait. This is Hellman from Homicide.
We're leaving. You better move, Novak.
Not until you settle a murder rap. Can you pay it off that fast?
I can do it on the way to the door.
Oh, wait a minute. Point the gun at Hellman. He's official.
I can tag you both, so move away, you too, Norma. Ann and I are leaving.
Look, Giffen, Homicide gobbles up nightclub big shots like you.
You're nothing to me, copper. Move away.
You got the hammer. Use it and come on through.
All right, I will, copper.
Yeah, you need a refill, Giffen.
That's right, darling. Hand him your gun.
Ann, you couldn't have done that. You couldn't have taken them out.
All right, say they fell out. You better take him for murder, Hellman.
You little bum. That leaves you all the money.
I can spend it, darling.
Well, you better do it fast, then.
Grab him, Hellman.
Yeah, I got it.
You can book him for both murders. My Greeley and my brother. I'll testify and I'll ride there in a cab on your dough, Giffen.
Yeah. Are you going to pose or take me, Hellman?
If you're anxious.
Sorry about you, Norma. You get nothing out of this, but that's better than I got. Goodbye, Ann. Lots of luck.
Thank you, darling.
You know what kind. I hope you rot. Come on, Hellman.
I'm ashamed of you, Ann.
Leave me alone, Norma.
I'm ashamed of you, Ann. What you did to Joe, I'm ashamed of.
Leave me alone, Norma. I'm sick, you know that. I didn't know how it was going to work out.
Oh, Joe was trying to help you when you got greedy. He was trying to help you. That's the only reason he came out. You let this happen.
I told you I didn't know how it was going to end. I thought they'd get him and take him back again.
There's no good in you, Ann. They couldn't find good in you anywhere. You let that happen to Joe. You stood by and watched him walk into something like that.
All right, I stood by. What can we do about it now except weep, and that won't help him.
But hating you will. That'll help Joe a little. I'm here at least to hate you for the short time left.
Please, Norma.
Giffen told you to spend it fast. Well, you better spend it fast. Ask him at the hospital if that isn't so.
What do you mean?
Ask him out there what you've got. They don't. You ask them what you've got. Ask them what's tearing you to pieces. Ask them, they'll tell you. They'll tell you you've got cancer.
Norma, please.
They'll tell you cancer. Ask them, they'll tell you you're full of it. Now spend your money. Spend your money and see that it lasts as long as you do.
Goodbye, girls.
Hello, Mr. Novak.
Oh, Did you miss much, Father?
No.
Feldman luck is running kind of bad tonight.
It does for some people, I guess. All they get is unhappiness. They wear it the same way you'd wear a sports coat, only they never seem to get a new one. I'm sorry about tonight, Mr. Novak. I'm sorry it's not a smoother world.
Yeah. But if it were, you'd be out of a job, Father. See you later. If you get a bad first break, you never run the table. That's what happened to Joe Feldman. Charlie Giffen owed him dough and wouldn't pay up. But Joe didn't care until Norma showed up and told him how sick Ann was, so he decided to collect from Giffen and divide the dough between the girls. Father Lahey couldn't stop him. All he could do was try and make it work out. Joe was going to get the dough and meet the girls in that hotel room, but he changed his timetable and sent Mike Greeley up to tell the girls. Giffen showed up there and figured that Mike had tumbled to a double cross, so he killed him. Ann engineered the double cross, but she didn't mean to go that far. She wanted all the dough and tipped off Giffen. He was supposed to turn the dough over to her and then have the police pick up Joe, but Joe got there early. He took the dough away from Giffen and shot the copper on the way out. Giffen followed Joe and killed him out in Arguello, but the dough was gone. He finally tumbled to Norma's place, and that's how her apartment filled up so fast. Well, Hellman asked only one question. What did I get out of all this? Nothing. Father Lahey offered me $50, but I didn't want it. Jocko was with me, and he offered to give it to charity. I guess he did, because where Jocko spent it, the drinks aren't worth money.
Pat Novak for Hire was previously released by ABC, the American Broadcasting Company, for listeners in the United States, and rebroadcast for our men and women overseas. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.